Wait, just turn your mic. Switch your camera back and forth on whereby from like your secondary to your primary, and then maybe it'll flicker back into correct screen for mine. It's like
All right, and we're back, everybody. I'm back streaming.
I see you hit the camera. Oh, go up. Oh wait. Oh, there we go. Yes, we did it. Oh, big pog. Holy shit. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
Wow. I mean, that's incorrect, but thank you.
Oh.
Excuse me.
All right.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Just checking the volume levels
when she can. So, in the interest of starting on time, because some people just can't seem to show up when they're supposed to. So cringe, Colorado. We are going to start with introductions, and then I will read the rules, and then we'll go into the first topic.
All right, I think my volume levels are pretty good.
Up in the corner on the left, we're going to go from Tiberius to Biggs to Jola to Nacho, and then to Kevin. So, Tiberius, go ahead, buddy.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tiberius D. Personally, I am known for geopolitics as I'm studying in economics and political science. And then if you want me in my community, is that I'm known for being one of the co-hosts of the Mask Off podcast. That's usually me,
thank you, Ghost
Connor,
23.
Osiris,
how's it going?
And Samantha Banana.
Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it.
To do the Mask Off podcast, but you might catch us on Mask Off.
How are my sound levels? Are they all right?
I'm usually the host of that, where we just get a few people together and have chats. Unfortunately, me and Hans like to run our shows at the same time, so that makes for some interesting scheduling issues. But
mine's on Saturdays now, so hopefully I can come on yours and I can have you on here more often.
Sounds good, man. Yeah. So anyway, without further ado, I'm very thankful to be here. And this topic list actually very much interests me. So we'll see how it goes.
Good. Thank you.
Oh yeah, dude.
They're a little loud in my head. Yeah. My name's Biggs. I'm basically a right-leaning centrist, leaning towards libertarianism and freedom where possible. I like to focus on common sense and practical solutions. I think we all have a lot of the same ideas. We just may be coming from it from different experiences and maybe different ways of getting to what we want, but I think we all kind of want the same thing. So I stream at Biggs 8500 on Twitch and also on YouTube. Same thing on Twitter. So look me up, and thanks for having me, Hans. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being here, buddy. All right, Jola.
Hey, what's up? I'm Jola. I stream on YouTube. I work in political communications. I'm currently finishing my master's in public policy. I focus a lot on progressive issues in rural America. Yeah, that's basically what I do on this platform. Again, check me out at Jola on YouTube. And Hans, thank you for having me on your panel yet again.
Thanks for being back, buddy. All right, American.
Good.
Nacho.
I'm glad I'm clear. Thank you for the follow.
I'm American Nacho. I play video games and I stream on Twitch. Talk politics whenever I can. I've been trying to.
I appreciate the follow. That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Each other, so I'm glad to finally be on here, and I'm excited to chat with everybody.
Hell yeah!
You can find me on.
I love Hans's panels
at American Nacho.
He is one of the best.
Nice. And then
panel moderators
Kevin.
and.
Hello there. I'm Kevin. I
really enjoy
a
it.
last-minute replacement. Hello, everyone. I'm a socialist streamer on Twitch. You can find me at KFLogan1875. I'm cleverer than Hans.
He is. He absolutely clapped my ass during the political trivia game show a couple weeks ago. It was one of the only times I've ever lost at anything in my entire life, and it's still sitting badly with me. So, like, oh shit! It looks like Katarana is here. Excellent. All right, Katarana, try to open the whereby. You are here as well. We can hear you. Oh. All right. Well, while she figures out her whereby situation and unmutes herself, thank you all so much for being here.
I'm jumping in.
Oh, there you are. I was gonna say, like, where are you? You said you're here, but I don't see you in the corner thing. All right. And everyone, thank you so much for being here. My name is Hans. I am a market socialist, Twitch streamer, Pokemon master, and Jimbro. What my political positions are relevant for the purposes of this podcast, or like for this panel. I do nothing but moderate these discussions because I want to give more time to our illustrious panelists, and also I want to be a fair moderator. I feel like jumping in during panels as the moderator makes you
What's up, Liquid
biased towards,
Sunshine?
like, whether unconsciously or consciously towards your
How you
particular topics, and I
doing?
don't want to hold anyone hostage so I can stand on a soapbox. So, with all that in mind, Katarana, where are you at? Getting the whereby? Where you? I'm trying. All right. While she's figuring that out, I am going to read.
Yeah, sorry. As I said, I'm on a laptop right now, so the computing power is verified doo-doo. So it's still loading the whereby. But as soon as I'm there, I'll do everything in my power to never leave it ever again.
All right, thank you. All right, so while we're waiting for Katarana, I will read the rules.
Yeah, I know those damn
no, he's leaving.
lefties.
They're all gone. No, everyone's gone. So without further ado, I'm going to read the rules of the discussion, like the debate format. My panels are slightly different than other panels. If you've been on, say, like Prime or on Dylan's, they're slightly more moderated, just to give people more time to talk without interruptions, just so we can have hopefully a more productive conversation. So the rules. Every person for each topic gets 1 minute uninterrupted for an intro and outro statement. Once we get to the last person doing their intros, we are going to start raising your hands. And once you raise your hand, I will put you on a list. And we will go down the list, and each person gets to talk for up to 2 minutes while they're on the list. Once you're already on the list, if you raise your hand again, it doesn't matter. You can only be on the list once. All right, Katarana is coming in. Excellent. And gish galloping is dumb and bad, and it makes it impossible to have like a good conversation. So try and keep your statements to under 2 minutes, and at 1 minute 30 seconds, I'll start giving you this motion. I'm not calling anyone crazy. I'm just saying, hey, you have 30 seconds left to finish your point. And then at 10 seconds, I'll start doing it again. And then at 2 minutes, I'll say finish your point, and then I'll just cut you off if you keep going. Please don't interrupt somebody while they're speaking, but if you want to directly respond to somebody once they're done, while I'm throwing it to the next person on the list, just say quick response and then jump in with your question, and then you can have a bit of a back and forth. If it goes longer than, say, 5 or 6 minutes, I'll probably start pulling it back to the list. But the purpose of that is that if you have a question that you want asked, ask it immediately. Don't wait 10 minutes and then say, oh, it's my turn to talk. I want to go back to like what Tiberius was saying 10 minutes ago, and I want to respond to that. Please respond to it immediately, so that way we can keep the conversation flowing and keep building on it, as opposed to just going back and forth on nonsense. If someone directly calls you out, like say someone says American Nacho's idea was big dum dum, he is allowed to immediately respond. That will not affect the list, and he gets a full speaking time of 2 minutes to adequately respond to that. As I said before, I'm only going to be moderating. I will not be participating in this conversation. So does everyone understand the rules of the debate format? Hell yeah. All right.
Yep.
So our first topic of the evening will be, in the online space, there is an unspoken rule, particularly among the populist left and the populist right, that creators backed by their own funding or fans are more honest than traditional establishment media. Is this inclination correct, or are online creators as fallible, biased, or more fallible than traditional sources? So, how we're going to do this one. 1 second, let me just move everybody around. We are going to start this conversation with Biggs. We're going to go from Biggs to Kevin to Nacho to Jola to Tiberius and then Katarana, and then we are going to go in the opposite order for closing statements. Because Biggs is going first and gets the first word, he's also going to get the last word, because that means everyone gets to respond to him. So we have to give him the last word so he's able to respond to everyone else in kind. So with that in mind, 1 minute on the clock. Biggs, take it away, buddy.
All right, so I think that most people, the normies, are going to be mainly influenced and trusting of the mainstream media. More of our online types, like ourselves here on this panel especially, we probably flock towards more of the independent and social media driven news outlets. I personally think that it's not necessarily an idea of who is more or less fallible or who is more or less correct, but I think it's who can say what they want to say, or who are more tied to like the rules of the mainstream media. So like for me, when I watch like CNN, I know I'm gonna get pretty milquetoast takes. They may be left leaning, but I'm gonna get milquetoast takes. But if I go on to things like Twitter and YouTube, you can only get a lot hotter takes. I think people are more free to say what they want, and they don't have these shackles of mainstream media and people that they have to answer to. But I still don't think that necessarily means they're going to be any less trustworthy. I think we can all agree that some people, especially on the extremes of each side, kind of push their own agendas. You have people like Ben Shapiro, obviously he's going to make things always leaning towards the right, and you have people like Sam Cedar and things like that. They're going to be more left-leaning. Now, whether or not they're more or less correct, I think it's up to the individual viewers to decide. But I think that having the freedom of being able to say what you want to say, not be tied to the rules of like mainstream media and all these other things, I do think that's a good thing. And I think that the more we can kind of keep all these people, whether they're mainstream or independent, keep them as honest as possible, and not believe things just solely on what they say, and make sure you go to multiple avenues to try to find the best information possible at the most sources possible. That's how you make the most informed decisions.
All right, thank you, Biggs. All right, everyone. In keeping this fair, I let Biggs do his entire statement without interrupting him. So that means everyone, for the purpose of the opening statements for this topic, I'm gonna give each of you a minute and 40 seconds as opposed to just a minute, because Biggs was saying a lot of good stuff. I didn't want to stop him from talking. So, Kevin, minute 40 on the clock. Go ahead.
Yes. In terms of the way in which people interact with new media, it basically should be the same as it is with old media. The individual either outlets or individual people like streamers or YouTubers or whatever should be taken on an individual basis. That you should understand the bias of each individual and each organization and view it through that prism, and you can get to some kind of interpretation of what the actual reality is. And that shouldn't change from new media to old media. As much as people in new media might see themselves as different to in new media might see themselves as different to old media, it's only really in terms of funding that's the case. Everyone has their own biases. I think Biggs mentioned Ben Shapiro and Sam Cedar, but everyone has a bias. Everyone is either I don't know, socialist or a conservative or whatever. And as long as you understand that and that people are being honest about who they are, that's fine. And you can interpret what they're saying through that prism. It's when people are lying, like Tim Pool, for instance, who will say, I'm a liberal, when they're not. That's a dishonest thing to do. And again, as long as you understand that, you can then say, well, fuck that guy. But yeah, in terms of the new media and old media, neither one of them is more or less trustworthy based on just being new or old media. It's on an individual basis. Are they honest? Are they a good faith actor? Are they giving you good information or not?
Thank you, Kevin. All right, Nacho?
Yeah, I tend to kind of agree with both of what they just said. I don't think it makes you any more or less trustworthy just because you're on the internet versus getting paid by some major media corporation. I think it's really a good thing though to see how like the media has evolved. It's helped us get away from like big corporate media. I think overall it's a good thing. And it just goes to show that like you should definitely be fact checking everything regardless of where it's coming
Definitely.
from, whether it's coming from CNN or NBC or what's
I like that take,
should be a
Nacho.
trusted media outlet versus coming from some social media pundit or some Twitter feed or whatever. You should be doing your own research. You should be trying to find the sources into like all the media that you're digesting.
Thank you, Nacho. Jola?
Yeah, so when it comes to independent media versus corporate media, I think all media is very susceptible to making like sensational takes, very susceptible to making really like emotional takes, trying to draw upon people's emotions so they watch their content, they could get more money out of it, get more ad revenue. All of them do that. When it comes to my big issue with independent media right now, it's that it's harder to hold independent media accountable if they are lying. And the reason for this is say you have like Fox News lying about a topic. You can focus on that one corporation and you can like boycott sponsors of that corporation. Let's say they're going to say the election's fake or something. You can focus on Fox News. But with independent media, what we saw on like social media is you have like 100,000 different websites spreading like disinfo about COVID vaccines, about elections, about a bunch of different things. It's harder to hold, 100,000 different independent media outlets accountable. And I think we saw that during this election and during this pandemic. If a corporation lied about something like Fox News, they got pressured by their sponsors. They had to walk a lot back of what they were saying when it comes to the election and the pandemic. But you don't get that when it comes to independent media. Steven Crowder, Tim Pool, Ben Shapiro, these are some of the biggest figures. If you want to throw in people from the left like Kyle Kulinski, Jimmy Dore, even like Vosh sometimes, even people like that, they all spread disinformation on a very large level. So I think just saying one is going to give you more facts over the other is kind of you can't really argue that. It's going to depend on which topic they're actually covering. So overall, I want to keep on talking about the points I just made during this debate.
All right. Thank you, Jola. All right, Tiberius.
All right, I might be against the grain here, but I'm going to largely say that online content makers are worse. Joel kind of might have touched on this just a minute ago with regard that like a lot of these institutions are made up of many people. Many people have different delegated responsibilities, and whenever you have all of them in one basket, what hurts one affects them all. And so they're all kind of policing each other to have some kind of level of conformity and decency among themselves, whether that be good or bad. Online platforms, on the other hand, are largely filled with people that are outside of the normal. You know, there's a reason touch grass is actually a meme. You know, dare I say this, but Fox News and MSNBC viewers are actually kind of normies compared to what we find on the average online. So yeah, absolutely worse. That's all.
All right, thank you, Ty. All right, Katarana. And then while Katarana is speaking, if you want to start jumping in and the regular part of the discussion, just start raising your hand. I'll start getting everyone on the list. So, all right, see you, Biggs. Once you raise your hand, I'll give you a thumbs up, and then that means like I got you. You can put your hand down. So, Katarana, go ahead.
Sounds good. So I would have to probably take the same take that Tiberius has, where I find that online creators are able to perpetuate misinfo more so than actual mainstream media, and a lot of that could also be partially due to the parasocial relationships that people form. Quite often, their fans will essentially try to fight against anybody that would say anything negative about their senpais.
Hey,
or
I'm
mommies.
ADHD, okay?
So it makes it probably
That's
pretty
why I
hard
listen to
for
all my
anyone to go
stuff at
against.
like 2
Also,
times
a
speed and
lot
have
of
like 8
times
windows open.
they do cherry pick information to build up a narrative that they would like. In conjunction with that,
It's
plus
also why I
quite often I see people
partake
will
in
go
my
through an article and
self-medication.
just kind of skip over like a line that very much directly will say something against what their point. Like there was I believe in 2019 there was a bunch of Steven Crowder information about how global warming isn't actually happening. And it was like, if you read past the first paragraph, you would have seen that article completely refutes whatever you're talking about. But like, at the same time, that article is the mainstream media and does give more of a holistic picture. Whereas like us as online creators can just say, well, it says that the North Pole has not melted that much this year. So yeah, okay, that's it. Bye. Thank you. And yeah,
All right, thank
that's
you,
my
Katarana.
feeling.
All right, so we're gonna throw it to Biggs, and then we can just go from there. So take it away, buddy.
Yeah, so one of the things that I kind of forgot to bring up because I didn't have time, but I think we need to kind of draw a distinction as to, especially when it comes to the online personalities, like who is actually entertainment and who is actually like news media. So like, to me personally, like obviously I think that it's in the eye of the viewer, but I think that like people like Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Sam Cedar, like all those that are like that, I think they're more entertainers. But I think when we have actual like news and actual like facts, I think that that's too boring for people. So people want to search out, the average viewer wants to search out these people. And the one thing I find that makes these entertainers more divisive is that they always lean to whatever is the most beneficial to their side and the most detrimental to the other side. And I think that that's where like the normal population doesn't really think so clearly on that when they're watching these type of these media outlets. And that's why they have problems and they get these like fringe takes and stuff like that. So I think we really need to kind of like figure out, like, from the viewer's perspective, are they viewing this for entertainment, or are they actually trying to view this for news?
All right, thank you, Biggs. We're gonna throw it to Kev and then to Tiberius. So Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Biggs. Do you genuinely consider Sam Cedar to be on the same level as someone like Shapiro? Because Cedar seems like a much more good faith actor, even if you disagree with his political bias. He seems like a genuine news show rather than,
Yeah, definitely.
you know.
I was kind of using those as like opposing metrics because like obviously I don't think that people like Ben Shapiro is a pundit. He's not a news person. Same thing with
Yeah.
like Steven Crowder. He's more of like a cringy comedian than anything else. But when you have actual like news shows, I forgot what's the BBC show that the one lady has. I forgot what it's called. But like that's like the hard like this is just straight facts news. Like I like to look at like that stuff more. I forgot what it's called, but and like stuff like Sam Cedar that actually has like more news oriented, but still has their segments of more commentary.
Yeah. No, fair enough. No, I'm done. Yeah.
Great. And then Tiberius.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to tag on this so that largely most of our news is entertainment at this point. Not going to say it's exclusively that, but I mean this is the thing I've been bitching about for the last 20 years is that going back all the way to the days of Bill O'Reilly and then the Fox Entertainment division, and then everyone picking this up on mainstream news, and now it's definitely particulated into the rest of the online community is that most of the people that are actually news are relatively called boring. Throw out to my guy Touring News here, which actually does news, is that people are like, oh, it's boring news. And I feel so bad for the guy for doing that. But on the other side of this is that, almost everything that I've seen is that you don't see Walter Cronkite's anymore. You don't see people that actually sit down and just go through, hey, what happened today? It's always got a spin. It's always got a narrative because that gets people's eyeballs. And you guys have all seen how the headline generator works. It's just okay. Bear walks through the backyard. Crazed animal attacks everyone. I mean, it's stupid, and we need to actually hold people responsible to this. But it just continually gets worse. I'm done.
All right, thank you, Tiberius. We're going to go to Jola, and then right now there's no one after that. So feel free. I'll start steering it. See you, Katarana. So Jola, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I agree with the point that Katarana made earlier about how like people can get these really weird relationships with content creators. When they say, "Oh, I'm not like the other girls. I'm not like the other guys. I'm not like the other content creators. I'm not like the other media stations." Like that's what you'll hear from a lot of these people. Like, "Oh, I'm funded by you. I wouldn't lie to you." And then they go on to their grand narratives. Or they might have a relationship with like a Steven Crowder and maybe like a Candace Owens. They get a relationship with these people, which is why they trust them more so. That's why it sticks in their heads. If I hear somebody is not getting a vaccine, it's never because they saw something on Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. They're not getting, unless if it's Tucker Carlson, but because he is that's a whole nother conversation. I think we should talk about him a little bit too. But they're always saying like Steven Crowder, Candace Owens. When I hear people saying, "Oh, racism isn't real," did you hear what Candace Owens said? "Oh, she's black and she said racism isn't real." That's always who people that I know at least cite, maybe because I'm talking to younger people more often. But even the boomer generation on Facebook, they don't know what they're reading on Facebook. Media literacy in our country is at an all-time low. So you need to have these media institutions like CNN and MSNBC, even if they suck in a lot of regards, but they do follow like CDC guidelines, or they will follow what the government's saying. And if they are reporting things from the government that you disagree with, your issue isn't really with like CNN or MSNBC. Your issue is with what the CDC's guidance is saying. I know people bring up how the media companies supported like the war in Afghanistan, and they supported all of the State Department's department talking points. Your issue in that situation is with the talking points from like the State Department. Your issue was never with like the media companies. They were just reporting what they were told.
All right, thank you, Jola. We're going to throw to Katarana and then Kevin. Oh, and then C Biggs. Yep.
Yeah, I guess like what I was saying earlier, sometimes can be sometimes contradicted with people like Tucker Carlson because there is overall within the mainstream media a bit more accountability, but then yet you can still have these very heavily rhetoric and like bias points given via mainstream media for some reason, but that's a bit of an outlier. But yeah, overall, you look around at the populace and just average people. I do notice that there is misinformation at times, but there's not as much of a vocalization of an apology when there is misinformation,
I wonder.
which I guess is somewhat unique to in the internet space because at least within mainstream media, at the bottom it will say like it will have a little side note saying, oh, originally this said this, we've changed
Hmm.
it to this because we've recognized that there was a problem. Whereas for mainstream media, sorry, for more of the content creator end, they just will delete the tweet or spin the narrative later without ever going back and like saying yes, what I said before was wrong. There is a history of like Vosh sometimes posting things that are inaccurate and then he just deletes the tweet. Um, yeah, there's seems to be just a weird lack of accountability and even like a lack of remorse. But I wouldn't go as far as this. Remorse seems like a superlative word, but it's similar.
Okay. Thank you, Katarana. Kevin, and then Biggs.
Yeah, I was going to say the idea of accountability in mainstream media, I think, is something of a figment of people's imaginations, largely. Not to say there's none whatsoever, but when you mentioned Tucker Carlson, he successfully argued in court that no serious person, no one would take him seriously, and that he was doing like just commentary and stuff, and it was obviously nonsense. And successfully argued that in court to stop being sued, and yet his audience didn't care. His audience has only grown ever since then. So really, there's no sort of pressure on him to change, or a great many of these disinformation agents. And of course, you've got to bear in mind that mainstream media is owned by like 6 people, basically. And there's no financial vested interest to ever challenge their hegemony in the media field. So you don't get that angle at all. But in saying that, it's the echo chambers that exist within new media are to some degree not quite in place in mainstream media, albeit that they are to a degree. But you
Thank you.
get some dissenting voices in a way that you're not necessarily getting
I don't.
when you're
I love you,
choosing
babe.
to just partake in Ben Shapiro content.
Do you want to say
or something
hello
like that.
on the stream? Will come wave.
Thank
wave.
you, Kevin.
Wave.
Biggs.
Sorry, my daughter wanted to say hello. So yeah, so one of the things that I kind of think we've kind of also not talked about is the fact that I see a lot of, especially in mainstream media, more so than like social media, is the necessity to be first. I feel like a lot of the mainstream media is much more centered on getting out the first take as fast as possible, regardless of the facts, and not really preparing stuff as much. Whereas I think that, and again, this isn't always true, but a lot of the other type of media, the independent media, is more planned and thought out. Like a lot of these people have these shows that they have every day, and they kind of plan out those shows every day and things like that, and like the topic of the day. But I feel like the mainstream media is so caught up in being first to the presses that we get so much stuff that gets screwed up, and then that ends up getting just kind of swept under the rug. And I think that sometimes that can even lead people to think that maybe the mainstream medium is less reliable because they're focused on that first to the presses.
Nacho.
Yeah, so I think that's part of the problem too. I think the media in general, their job, a lot of the times ends up being like to just break the news, and they don't really give a shit whether or not it's accurate or not. So all of that, I agree with. I think it was Kevin that said that basically the whole like, oh well, at least mainstream media facts itself is kind of like a myth because illusion because at the end of the day, they don't have to. They can just put it in the small print, or like Tucker Carlson, they can just say like, oh well, we're entertainment anyways. Like we're not actually news, and who's gonna buy that anyways? So they tend to get away with a whole hell of a lot, just the same as independent media gets away with as well now too. So I don't know if it's like clear one way or the other, but I think I think generally it's a good thing though that independent media exists now. That there is like some competition, but it is kind of like a double-edged sword as far as like now you have to fact check every source that you're going to.
Thank you, Nacho. We're going to throw to Jola and then Katarana.
There were a couple cases of Tucker Carlson lying about, like, for example, dead people voting in elections in like Michigan, Georgia. Once corporate sponsors pressured him and he got a lot of public pressure, he did apologize for that. Steven Crowder ran with that lie for months. He would not stop doing that. The only reason Steven Crowder ever gets banned is for extreme TOS violations on platforms like YouTube. That's the only reason he ever gets banned. Tucker Carlson, if you compare his entertainment media to Steven Crowder, Steven Crowder would not be able to get away with even 10% of what he does on YouTube if he was on Fox News. That simply wouldn't even be possible. Tucker Carlson needs to dog whistle literally everything, but Steven Crowder can just say it out front, which you can argue that Tucker Carlson is just as dangerous. I think he is. I don't think he should be on air. In a different country, he probably wouldn't be on air because it'd be illegal to spread that much disinformation and to cause that much purposeful social conflict. But the idea that there isn't any like difference in accountability between independent media versus corporate media because of sponsors and because of public pressure, that simply isn't true. Like I said, you can focus pressure on corporate entities. And Hans sent data in our group chat before this on information about how informed people were about like the pandemic, about the election. People who watched regular media, this legacy media, this corporate media, were more informed. They knew more about the facts because we can't control what people are going to see randomly on Facebook, and they will believe because, like I said before, media literacy is still extremely low in America. They are still going to believe a lot of disinformation that they see online. So.
Right. Thank you, Jola. We're going to throw it to Katarana, then Kevin, and then Tiberius.
Okay. Yeah, I don't entirely understand why there's this idea that mainstream media doesn't have some type of air. Oh my God, get out of my frame. Okay. Mainstream media doesn't have some form of additional accountability because even if it is like in a side note or like in a fine print, it's still there. Whereas most independent content creators will not recall anything at all. So even if it's not somewhere that's super visible, even if they don't make a whole news segment just called "I was wrong," it's still there in a way that your independent creators will not. That in conjunction with the idea that mainstream news will just try to put out the news as quickly as possible. That is true that the mainstream media often gets to break the news. I find that there won't be as much of this additional speculation that the independent creators will do. So, for example, right now with the assassination of the Haitian president, a bunch of people on Twitter and all these other sites are saying, "Oh, I think it's the U.S. assassinated Jovenel." Ridiculousness. But you won't see CNN saying, "Oh, and we also believe that Biden went and got the assassin squad." But you will see little small Twitch creators being like, "Yeah, I think Biden really just wanted to get rid." Like, and I think that's the difference. Is that yeah, I'll finish. That there might be they might break the news, but they won't add all this like absolutely ridiculous fantasy, but really really interesting supplementals to it.
Thank you, Katarana. And everyone, just so you know, like when I do this, it means you have 30 seconds left. So don't feel like you like have to like sprint to finish your point. You still have like a decent like chunk of time like to say that. I do it once, and then at 10 seconds I'll do it again. So if you see me doing it the second time, that's the time to start sprinting. But if you see me do it like one time, don't worry about it. We're through to Kevin and then Tiberius.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think anyone's arguing that there's no difference in accountability. Just that the difference is probably not as sharp as many people would want to believe is the case. We have a lot more faith in mainstream media than I think they are worthy of. But either way, the accountability that I think it was Jola was mentioning about sponsors pulling out based on Tucker Carlson's misinformation about the election and stuff. I think it's a really dangerous and ultimately counterproductive thing to rely on the amoral, principleless, scrupulous, unscrupulous attitudes of businesses who were happy enough to fund Tucker Carlson when he was just doing basic bitch white nationalism, but because he then did something which was politically inexpedient, like lying about the election or whatever, they then decided to pull advertising from him. That's not going to fix the problem then, because they're just going to pull out briefly and then go back to him because he's still got lots of viewers. So that's not actually going to fix any of the problems. It's not real accountability. It's just a short-term financial hit, which Fox News can take because they've got a lot of dark money behind them, as indeed has people like Ben Shapiro and Stephen Crowder, etc.
Jola, would you like to respond briefly before we throw it to Ty?
I'm not arguing that the current system is a good one. I don't want to be in, like you said, an amoral landscape of like what corporations are going to do for profit or whatever. I'm just saying right now, when it comes to the utility of it. I think, and this is with like Newsmax and what's the other one called? OAM. They moved into more of like a mainstream like corporate lens during this entire like election cycle because a lot of like Trump supporters got mad at Fox News, right? So they're like surviving like literally only on like Mike Lindell,
What's up,
My Pillow
computer? How you
donations right now.
doing?
So although I do agree,
You gonna
like
get
it's
ready to
a
move me
bad
up on
situation we're in,
the
I still
tier
think
list?
if we as a public are going to
I
like
told
try to put
the
pressure
clock
in
guy I'm
certain
coming
areas, I
for
think
his
it's okay
ass.
to go on Twitter and get a bunch of like liberals or whatever mad about, I don't know, Toyota. Did you see Toyota was still giving money to a bunch of Congress people that did not want to certify the election or whatever, and they got a lot of public
Hope you're
pushback,
staying
and
out
they
of
switched
trouble,
their lane
computer.
on that. So hopefully, we could find a better system in the future. But I think public pressure works in some regard right now. I'm not saying it's good, but it works in some regard more than it would work on like a Steven Crowder or like a Shapiro.
Thank you, Jola. We're going to throw it to Tiberius, and I want to tell everyone right now, we have 9 minutes left before we go to closing statements for this topic. So if you want to get in, start raising your hand. So Tiberius, go ahead, buddy.
To call out my own side of the aisle, and also to show like how accountability is just so good. You know, you guys keep bringing up Tucker Carlson, and you know what? Regardless of how much I like him or dislike him, and
keep
as
it
far
up,
as I
man.
dislike is that this son of a bitch.
You should
is
make another
openly
one and
arguing
just put
great
everybody in
replacement
S
on
tier
live
or
air,
everybody in E
and
tier.
he's still allowed on. I think that's all you need to know about this. Thank you.
Thanks, Tiberius. Would anyone like to jump in?
Well, I was just going to say that's the point I was making, that companies who were happy with him doing this like white nationalism shit, those should not be the moral arbiters of what is and isn't acceptable in the media landscape.
Very, very good point. All right, Jola, and then after Jola, I guess because no one else seems to be raising their hand, we'll go to closing statements for this, and we can go to our next topic. This fits us like pretty much perfectly in terms of time. I want each of these topics to be about 50 to 60 minutes long. Oh, sorry, fine.
Perfect.
Jola, Katarana, and then we'll go closing statements. All right, so Jola, take it away, buddy.
For Kev, do you have what your like solution would be? Would you want America, for example, to adopt like the UK's broadcasting rules?
I think there should be some stricter broadcasting rules, yes. The idea of having open propaganda networks. Like, I mean, to be fair, it's on both sides. MSNBC is no real better than Fox News in terms of its obvious, ridiculous bias.
Yeah, obviously.
That doesn't seem like that's leads to a healthy body politic.
Thank you both. Katarana, last word before we go to closing statements.
I was just going to say that no one really wants these different companies to be the arbiter of morals, but unfortunately, the way that society works is that the more money you have, the more you're able to throw dick power around. And these people are funded by companies, not by people. So even if all of us have a problem with it, unless we get money taken away from them, which is the only thing that matters, then they don't give a fuck. So it's not like Toyota actually gives two shits about whether or not people are making great replacements arguments. It's all about like, oh, are we losing money? Then you lose money, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you, Katarana. We're actually going to go right back to Katarana for our closing statements. Now, again, everyone's been super polite this evening, and that's like really, really awesome. This was an excellent flowing conversation for the first topic. I think we actually covered a lot of ground, and
I can verbally abuse you if that will help.
I mean, like, preferably not me, but like, take your pick of the other five.
Fuck you,
but
man.
we're gonna start with Katarana. 1 minute on the clock, uninterrupted. No one's interrupted yet, but like, I just have to say it anyway because normally there's more interruptions. Katarana, Tiberius, Jola, American Nacho, Kev, and then finishing with Big. So Katarana, take it away.
Okay. My mind has not been changed. I'm kidding. Yeah, I just honestly feel like, in general, there's literally, you know how Trump said that he could drop kick a baby or something and people would still vote? Josh could basically drop kick a baby and I'd still be like, but like I don't know, the baby was probably like a tanky. I'm sorry. So yeah, I honestly
Wow.
it's really hard to keep content creators accountable. We just simp so hard, and I know exactly when Josh and Hyena broke up, and I know every single debate that he's ever had, and I have no life, and I am your average media consumer because this is the way that we just have such these weird attachments to our content creators, and thus makes it really hard to keep them accountable. Some people may be able to circumvent that, but I am not so strong-willed, and neither are most of you. So yeah.
Absolutely true. I've named every Bulbasaur in my Pokemon Nuzlocke after Vosh. And that means I've also lost 6 Bulbasaurs named Vosh. I'm sorry,
You're
Vosh.
you're a Vosh mass murderer then.
Yeah, I've killed Vosh like half a dozen times.
Oh my
and you can't stop
gosh,
me.
this is hilarious.
All right.
This is hilarious.
Tiberius.
I don't know what these memes are, and I don't want to know. Anyway, outside of that, is that I think I made my points pretty well. I don't see any reason to repeat myself. The only thing that I advise to the audience is that you have the choice on who you watch and what you watch and why you watch it. Now, I have a special ability. It's called I hate people, so it's really good not to listen to people. It's really easy. Some of you do not have that, and I do apologize for that. But it is very useful, and I question, or I'm sorry, I implore you to embrace the jaded if at all possible.
Thank you, Ty. All right, Jola.
Yeah, I think comparing like Fox News to MSNBC, we can go through like objective data points on why that isn't true. The levels of bias are very different. There are different extremes. The level of how
Oh my
much content is
gosh.
factual, how much is just propagandist
Oh my
lies.
gosh, this
you could
guy.
say MSNBC also sucks.
Jola,
Great.
I'm not a
but
fan,
Fox News is
Jola.
far worse than MSNBC. Like I said on accountability, independent media works as a swarm. That's why I think it's so difficult to curtail disinformation on like Facebook. It is a swarm. There isn't one organization to aim at. There isn't one public figure to pressure. There isn't one person to fact check. These are 100,000, 100 million different websites called Red Patriot News telling people
Red Patriot
on Facebook
News,
that
really?
white people are under attack. And I would argue, and there are numbers on this too, because I studied Facebook algorithms and media. Those articles of independent media, those reach a lot more people than Tucker Carlson does, even with his primetime TV slot. So Red Patriot News sites on Facebook, those being boosted by Facebook's algorithm, are more dangerous than like Tucker Carlson. I'm not advocating for like an invisible hand of the market to control everything. I don't want that. I agree with like Kev's solution. I would want the U.S. to adopt stricter broadcasting rules, like we see in the UK.
I
If
know,
Fox
right?
News was in the UK, I'm
Economics.
pretty sure Tucker Carlson wouldn't.
Nobody
be
wants to talk
allowed on air.
about economics because
That's
it's
what I was
fucking
referring
boring.
to,
Nobody wants to talk
when I
about
brought
like
that up.
the
I
ins and
think
outs of
somebody in Hans's
money
chat
and
was asking which country that would apply.
incentives and
Thank you.
profit margins
Jola.
and
All right,
all
Nacho.
that bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know if we should. I don't know, but the restricting or like having a stricter broadcasting.
My
rules,
personal stance on healthcare is I
feel
think
like,
it's not good. I
mainstream
don't think we
media,
need
is kind of
any
like
more
on its way out, or that's kind of the way I see it anyway.
universal
It's like with the
healthcare or
internet,
anything like
with
that. I've
independent
seen
media
what
outlets,
Medicare,
there's so much more
Medicaid,
competition,
VA has
and I think
done
a lot of these corporations inevitably are
in the
are
system itself, with
gonna be,
working
like,
in the
sucked
accounting and
dry,
IT
or it
system
seems
of a
like that
hospital
they
for
should
4
be
years.
using,
So
Steam.
I've
At
talked
this
about this
point.
with Clock Eye
So I think everyone should
and
just keep doing
Cancel,
their due
so
diligence.
we can talk about this some
and
other
trying
time.
to reach the people who are watching these pundits who are a little more extreme, or do their best to try to reach out to people and make sure that they're like,
social
fact-checking
issues,
other
foreign
sources and
policy, things like that. I mean,
give
just
up on the,
this is actually a pretty good
people
panel
who
for
think are too far
the
gone,
topics that
because
we're having. I actually
think
like.
I think with it being a free market the way it is, I think it's better that we have
There's not
free
much
speech than we have restricted press.
actual disagreement, I don't
Hopefully that
think,
makes sense.
in these
Thank
topics,
you,
but
Nacho. We're gonna throw it to Kevin, and then Biggs finishes up. So, Kev, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I wasn't muted. I'm glad I didn't say anything. Anyway, yes. I'm surprised there wasn't more Vosh bashing in this segment. And as someone who appeared on his charity stream, I would have felt the necessity to defend to Stan or whatever, you know.
Oh,
But
man.
anyway, and also
We got Vosh stands.
congratulations
We
to,
got
Katarana
Katarana
for the phrase
and
"drop-kicking
Kev as a
baby."
Vosh stand.
That was delightful.
Sad
I haven't
day.
laughed like that in a while. Anyway,
I like philosophical conversation.
yeah, in terms of the
personally.
media,
Sunshine.
take everything with a pinch of salt is essentially the point, right? Understand the bias of any individual source you're watching and listening to, or reading or whatever, and understand that they're coming at it through that prism, and then you can sort of decode it backwards to get to the actual nub of what the story is. And that's assuming that you care at all what the truth is, which unfortunately a lot of boomers on Facebook don't.
Yep, a lot of people don't care. They don't give a shit.
Crazy shit about Tom Hanks being a pedophile who eats baby brains or whatever. Like, it's just
I love baby brains.
proliferation of
Baby brains are the
disinformation
best.
is a cancer on our modern age, and I think the adoption of stricter broadcast rules, as me and Joel have, I think, agreed on, which means it's definitely going to happen. We decide these things, of course. I think would be a good idea.
Thank you, Kev. Quote him now. Get to the nub.
Get to the knob.
Get to the nub.
Get to the knob.
All right, and then Biggs. Last word on this topic. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think that what Kev said is great. I think we need to take as many possible available sources into consideration. I think you have to understand where these sources are coming from, where their biases lie. And I think the best thing you can do to be an informed person is just go to the most sources possible and then aggregate that information, make your own conclusions. What I do want to say, though, is kind of like a side thing, is I really think the mainstream media, especially, I know this doesn't quite apply to the new media as much, but I think that in '85, when we had when we got rid of the FCC Fairness Act, I think that was kind of like the nail in the coffin for actual unbiased and actual like even keel media. And I think that that's kind of where things fell off the edge. And since then, I don't think at the time they realized what the outcome would be, but now we're seeing these outcomes where we literally have these stations, these mega corporations that lean completely one way, completely the other. And I think that because we don't have the balancing act, I think that it's just pushed things so far to the extremes that we all kind of lose on what's actually the truth. And I think that the best way to combat that is, like I said, just to take as much information as possible and then make your own decisions.
Thank you, Biggs. All right. Thank you so much for this awesome conversation on the first topic. That was the most coherent conversation I've heard on media in a long time. Thank you all so much for that. We are going to jump immediately into our next topic. And then we are going to go. We're gonna have a small break after the end of the second topic before we go into the third one, like a couple minutes, and then we'll be finished. So
I'm an old man and need a bathroom break, so I will be back.
All right. We'll make Biggs last because Biggs can't keep it in his pants.
Hey, old man problems. All right, sorry.
All right. Does any other boomer in need a bathroom break? Everyone take 2 minutes.
My healthy young prostate will survive another topic.
Can't keep it in your pants means something else, I think, Hans. I don't think it means. Never mind.
No, I know what it means. But it's still inside of him.
You don't know what
which
he's
is
doing in the
inside his
bathroom.
pants.
All I'll say
That is
is
true.
next time, Biggs. Well, he can't hear me anyway. Adult diaper.
It's
Simple.
like pull an Amazon, just like here, have a diaper. Just hey, if it helps them, it can help us.
Exactly. If it's good enough for Jeff Bezos' slave gimp army, it's good enough for Biggs.
Slave gimp army? That's
I think how he views them, isn't it?
It's like I mean, if you've seen his the uniforms for what is it, like blue icon or whatever, I can't remember what it's called. Then yeah,
Origin, you fucking
Blue
noob.
Origin or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. All right, hey, I read and sent out those articles really early today. All right, and I was still rocking. I only had 12 hours of sleep. I fell asleep at 3 last night, and then I woke up at 3. What is wrong with me? I like strict Zoomer energy. All right, I wasn't even partying. I was just on YouTube. Anyway, and I was playing Magic.
Yeah, but but being that absolutely delicious must be tiring.
Oh, I mean, I'll be honest. Some days after the gym, I do get really, really sleepy. It's just I'm not one of those 6-hour day people. I'm constantly suffering. When I was in college, I was miserable. I was have 6 hours of sleep. I'd wake up and go to work, and then I'd have class, and then I would have the gym, and then I'd do homework until midnight, and then fall asleep again. And the entire day, I had 5 cups of coffee, and I was just completely dying the entire time. It was the worst. I mean, it was the best 4 years of my life, but it was also the most suffering 4 years of my entire life too. So. Good googly
Get it, you
moogly.
went to college. Come on.
Hey. You also you're currently in college. Wait, didn't you graduate?
I don't know who the fuck you think you're talking to. I'm a grown ass woman.
That's I think you said you were in college, but anyway. But
I graduated 15 minutes ago, bitch.
yeah. Why are you okay? Anyway, Katarana abusing me is fuck no, Nacho's gone. Son of a, I was just stalling until Biggs got back. So he could hear everyone else's opening statements.
It's herding cats. Madness.
Oh, okay, there you are. He got his water. All right, so with all this in mind, we are now going to cover our amazing second topic. So, there has been a recent uptick in billionaires desiring to privately create spacefaring
I should just
technology
meme
and
on this one.
companies. Is
I
this
think
a
memeing on this one's
useful
best,
utilization of
best idea.
resources? And should we be nervous that the wealthiest among us are seeking technologies that allow them to flee our planet? We're going to start with Katarana, then go to Nacho, then Kev, then Biggs, then Jola, and then finish with Tiberius, and then we're going to finish in the opposite order. So, Katarana, go ahead.
This topic's just
Yeah,
kind of
no,
like a
it
weird
actually
one.
really bothers me that there's a billionaire space race, partially because a lot of the things that are
I'm
funding
gonna
this
meme on this
billionaire
one.
space race are government grants, and that's why we have a NASA. So I don't understand why we're really exporting like money that could be going towards NASA for people to create $1.99 NASA. Weird as fuck. I think, especially since all of these different technologies that are being developed are being kept under lock and key. Like, if I wanted to apply to work at Blue Origin without an American citizenship, I wouldn't be able to work there. So clearly, it's still being held as government knowledge. So why not just like let the government be the one that's building everything? Also, it's honestly just a dick measuring contest, and it's actually some of the most annoying shit I've ever seen in my life. And I will die continuing to bitch about the billionaire space race because it's messing up a lot of people's careers.
All right. Thank you, Katarana. Nacho.
Yeah, so I'm somewhat in the same boat, although like I think like SpaceX and stuff have made like pretty great strides as far as like in evolving like the technology, like being able to like reuse boosters, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't like the fact that like Jeff Bezos, I've seen so many times this year like whining whenever he doesn't get the contract, when the reality is that like Blue Origin is like generic SpaceX. Like he poached all of his people from SpaceX and from Elon Musk's company, like to just basically get a dick swinging contest with the other billionaire, and then I don't know. I think that's more of a waste of resources. I don't think that the entire getting privatized or private companies involved, I don't think is a wasteful or a waste of resources, but because like you said, all that technology belongs to the government, and therefore when we mine that quadrillion dollar platinum asteroid that's floating around out there, I would assume that the U.S. government would have a lot of the rights to a lot of those resources, and that would be overall a net benefit for our entire country. So
All right. Thank you, Nacho. Kevin.
Yes. Firstly, billionaires shouldn't exist. So anything they do isn't
What?
a rational
Oh
use
my
of
gosh.
resources. I've said this for a long time, that America
Oh my
has
god.
taken the greatest resource richness in the history of mankind and pissed it up the wall so that Elon Musk can have $200 squillion and own everything ever, whilst tens of millions have no healthcare. Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway,
He got to the meme before
having
me.
said that,
Damn it.
if the billionaires want to leave, that's fine. I would then suggest we build a wall on the border between space and Earth and have extreme vetting. Fuck them.
Man, he fucking beat me to the
until we find out
memes.
what the problem with these billionaires is, they need to be stopped.
Oh my god.
Thank you, Kevin. All right. Biggs.
So I was gonna take the meme take on this topic, but Kev already beat me to it, so I feel like I can't really follow up with that. But
Meme harder. Do your best.
I mean, unless people are gonna start, getting on their knees in front of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos to try to get on that spaceship when it takes off, I mean, I don't really think there's much harder memeing can be done. But honestly, in actuality, I think that the whole space race thing is a pretty it's pretty bad when it comes to like government funding and things like that. I think Conrada hit it right on the nose. I think that the fact that we're giving these huge billion-dollar subsidies to these companies is a bit ridiculous. I think it's one thing to reap the rewards once they do hit, like Nacho said, like once we're able to actually have that kind of technology in place. But I think as far as like actual space travel goes, I think we're at least decades from even sending a person to Mars, and I think we're at least probably centuries multiple centuries before we're actually going to have people living or doing actual work on Mars or any other planetary system, whatever that might be in the future. So yeah, but I wanted a meme on this, but damn it, Kev, you beat me to it. But I appreciate the memes, man. That was great.
Thank you, Biggs, and thank you, Kevin, for the memes. And then we're going to go to Jola.
I think for this topic, we need to draw upon the very tragic story of Wall-E. So in Wall-E, if you noticed, there is a
Everybody's
fancy
pulling
ship
out the
in,
memes for this
you
one.
know,
Jesus Christ.
space. That ship is
It's
called the
all the
Axiom.
memes.
Now let me tell you about the Axiom. The Axiom is one of the countless Starliner spacecrafts built by and Large, which was a corporation. That's like a Amazon of the Pixar universe, okay? So they made a bunch of these ships to evacuate people away from Earth because Earth had a bunch of trash and everything from overconsumption. And because Earth was so like it was left in tatters, humans had to escape.
Wow.
Now we know
All the
in this
memes.
movie Wall-E, the only ship still around, the only humanity left, is this one ship. So the Axiom. The Axiom was the rich people one. That's the only one that survived. There were 10 billion people on Earth in the year 2100 when the Axiom left Earth for orbit.
This is ridiculous.
So that means an apocalypse happened on Earth that killed like 9 billion people or like 10 billion people, and only the richest survived. So that's the story of Wall-E. And I cry every time I watch that movie because nobody else understands how freaking deep and complex it is. I wrote 10 academic papers on it. I wrote one paper, but I used it 10 times for different courses. But yeah, I think that's what's happening right now. Jeff Bezos and Gates, they are trying to organize a system where the workers of the world produce enough capital for them to escape Earth, and they're going to let Earth go boom while all the rich people float away on their ship to Mars and colonize it with Elon Musk and Grimes, and she's going to talk about robot communism and stuff. So that's what's happening here.
Thank you.
I thought I'd won the meme war, but I've just been done. I've just been absolutely done.
We'll see how hard we can end up going. We're going to tie, and then everyone else. This wasn't like an outspoken rule, but you're welcome to start drinking anytime Jola mentions Wally. So Tiberius, go ahead.
I'm rapidly discovering that I am far too sober for this conversation. Okay, I'm not going to get into the ethical conversation of if billionaires should exist. I'd rather slam my dick in a car door. So here's what I got: space exploration. Technological development is really cool. It sucks that NASA doesn't do this, but government doesn't want to do this shit anymore. So hey, rich people doing this, I'm not exactly gonna bitch. On the other side of that is that if, for God's sake, they actually went bankrupt, a worst case scenario, that we'd just be out one more billionaire. Unfortunately, we might have too big to fail, but hopefully for once, we can actually let somebody fuck up. But finally, is that I don't think rich people really want to leave. I really don't. If anything, they'd kick us all off instead. If they got to have their way. I think what this is that they're just wanting to make more money and they want to go space mining, but that's just what I've got. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tiberius. We're going to open it to everybody now. We have Katarana on the list. Everyone else, you're welcome to start raising your hand because this is a meme topic. We are only going to have this up for 30 minutes. So if you want to get in on it, start raising your hands. Katarana, holsters ready.
As a physicist, this is not a meme topic thing. This is my fucking life. So first of all, in 2030, there's supposed to be the first Mars mission. So currently, there are 18-year-olds that are training to be the first group of people that are supposed to go to Mars. Well, if it's basically just Blue Origin's SpaceX and I don't know, Branson boy doing all the stuff for Mars, sounds like we're just gonna have a planet of libertarian heaven. I don't want it. I think that we need to go ahead and have like our government actually are investing by giving the money away to other people. Whack as shit. Why isn't NASA being the one that's actually doing most of the work for getting all of this prepared? It's kind of weird to have NASA train people for getting ready to colonize Mars in 2030, but going on a SpaceX fucking rocket. They have their own rockets. This is weird as shit. We literally already put like years, billions of dollars into infrastructure so that we can have dick measuring contest with Russia, and as soon as that shit's done, we're like, yeah, just let it rust. Do you know that there's a bunch of pieces
Let it rust.
of like
Let it
mission
rust.
stuff
Let it
that are inside of
rust.
like a weird like souvenir shop in California? I went there. It's weird as fuck. Already giving away parts of their rockets, just like it's a waste of money. I'm mad as hell. Next person.
All right, thank you, Katarana. Right now, no one is on the list. Who wants to jump in? You're welcome to
Well, I
take
was
it
just-
seriously. You're welcome to meme. Kevin and then Jola.
I'm gonna have to call out Katarana. This is entirely a meme topic. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This is personal now. This is total memes, all the way down. Space isn't even real. We live on a
Like I've
flat
ever
Earth.
laughed a day in my life.
No, that's that. To be fair, no. But you are
Katar-
wearing a crown, so you know.
Katarana, please don't interrupt other panelists while they're giving their extremely coherent and important takes. Kevin, keep going. Katarana, if you speak up again, I'll have to mute you.
Fuck you, Hans.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, Katarana, would you like to respond because you were directly added by Kevin?
Fuck my dick.
Nice.
Nice. All right, Jola.
When we talk about topics like Wally, this is what I really mean when I tell people over and over again that they need to read theory. Because I don't think people really understand theory or our history very much. I don't know why they're trying to get on Mars now, when they never even got on the moon. So like that's my big issue. I unironically don't believe in the moon landing, by the way. That's not even a meme. Somebody can try to convince me about that, but I don't believe in this fake science that Katarana subscribes to.
You think it was
whatever
Stanley
that is.
Kubrick though?
We couldn't. We had cars that were going like 1 mile per gallon back.
But
in
was
that
it
time.
Stanley
There's no way we
Kubrick,
went to
though?
the moon and back.
That's the real question. Was it Stanley Kubrick?
I don't know who did it. I just know they didn't do it.
Well, I'm a Stanley Kubrick truther. I don't think he existed. So, next level. Also, Jola, I'm going to have to call you out. Wall-E is a terrible film, and you're an embarrassment for liking that film. So,
No,
right,
it's
you're
actually
welcome Jola,
we have to-
respond, and then Kevin. Everyone, start preparing a 1-minute statement about whether Wall-E is or is not the greatest movie that Pixar has ever made. Go ahead, Jola.
Well, they may as well have called they should have called Wally Adam, because the robot gal he falls in love with is named Eve, and they came back to restore the earth, just like it says in the Bible. So I think you're really underestimating what the writers of this movie really did. The Pixar universe is beautiful. If you look at Toy Story movies, if you look at the Car series, you can see by and large, which is the corporation. They go from like a battery company to an automobile company. They grow a huge monopoly. They keep on getting bigger and bigger and bigger until they own the entire world. By and large is Amazon, and nobody even knows that like Walt Disney was best friends with Karl Marx. Nobody even knows that, and that's why Pixar went this direction. Although Pixar isn't Disney, but thank you.
All right, Kevin, how would you like to respond?
Look, in terms of which is the best Pixar movie, I've got 3 words for you. A Bug's Life. Done.
I have to give that point to Kevin. We're gonna throw it to Katarana and then Tiberius. I think Tiberius raised his hand earlier, so go ahead, Katarana.
You're throwing it for me to say what? Talk shit about Wally?
I thought you raised your hand.
No, but honestly, best Pixar movie, definitely Shark Tale. So, nice day.
Shark Tale was DreamWorks.
And what about it?
I've
Yeah, that's
never
it.
had to.
Pixar truther. Yes.
I've never had to step in a pedal in this aggressive of a way. What the fuck? Shark Tale. I don't even say Shark Tale's a bad movie. But what? It's not fucking Pixar.
Hey, we send one of the girls.
Categorically
my cup.
incorrect. Objectively ridiculous.
All right, love you.
You don't deserve the crown that you wear.
Robot
until
Jesus.
You, like
Stole it
forgive
from
yourself
Dylan
and
by
ask-
fucking
Who's Robot
murdering
Jesus?
him.
Oh yeah.
Wally?
That's...
Wally's
All
Robot
right.
Jesus.
So, does anyone have anything to say about the serious topic of the billionaires trying to leave us all behind? I know this was a meme topic. I made this with memes in mind.
Good. I'm glad.
Just for the next 15 minutes, I will not moderate. Just start fucking going nuts. Everyone start yelling at everybody. We'll start reining it in at the end, so we do our real topics.
You guys are all
Go ahead.
fucking
Okay.
wrong. Coco
Fix this as a
is
fucking
the
pussy,
fucking
okay?
best
Just
Pixar
accept that
movie.
You lost to Elon.
What?
Also, Toys R Us is the best Pixar movie.
Toys R Us. Yes.
Not getting it twisted.
Hell yeah.
Hey, Toy Story.
Yeah, Toys R Us. You can't even say it right. Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Nacho.
No, all right. The best Pixar movie is Up. Let's get this right. It's
Oh, you're
Up.
so fucking basic.
I don't give a
Jesus.
shit.
That's embarrassing.
Well,
I
Coco.
don't care.
Before I
Coco's the
explain to all
best.
of you why
Everyone was
Veggie
gonna want
Tales
that race
is
car
like
from
I will
fucking
accept
Toy Story,
Monsters
okay?
Inc. as an acceptable second. That's it. Okay.
Okay, I actually do have a serious problem still with billionaires going and leading the
Oh my
space race.
gosh, no,
It's
we're
the
done with that topic. We're memeing now.
suck my ass. Okay, so the main qualm I have with it is none of these hoes actually know fuck all about physics. I mean, Elon Musk can LARP a bit, but like, what does Jeff Bezos
Thank
and
you,
Richard
Looter.
Branson know anything
Thank
about
you for the
space
follow.
beyond the
And
fact
I'm
I want to
sinking in
go
my
up?
chair. Here, can we get my
It's
cup?
just kind of insulting, honestly, because like this is partially why I have a problem with
What are
space
you doing? Are
tourism
you
in the
skating?
first place.
Silly
None of
goose.
these people actually
You gonna come say
understand
hi
the
again?
gravitas and the beauty and the
Come say hi.
everything
Come
about
over
being
here.
in space, and most of them just want to go and be like, yeah, that sure is a moon. Wow, can I
Yes.
go back down now? And it makes me mad.
I love you.
I wake up every morning in fucking cold sweats, wet dreams because I'm mad. Okay, and I don't know
Cold
what's
Sounds
good
like a
about
fun
this.
night to me.
Can somebody convince me
And
that the moon landing was real, please?
Okay, well,
I'll
no, no, no.
convince you that Veggie
The moon
Tales is the
landing
best
wasn't
Pixar
real.
movie.
Like, let's be real. The moon
The
landing was
fact that we
fake.
have some of the
Okay,
best
no,
cheese
no,
in the
no,
world
no.
now. Like, what the
No,
fuck?
the moon landing was in fact fake.
Oh my
okay,
gosh,
because
we have the voice of God. Where did this come from?
we can't trust NASA because NASA is run by the Vatican and the Nazis that are working
Who
together with
let
the
this
Satanists, right?
degenerate into the
Hey
chat?
Travis, get the fuck
Who-
off of my
who
panel.
let this
We've been
person here?
visited by the voice of Samantha, one of my illustrious mods and
Okay.
producers.
No. This is fact. I don't know how you don't know this, right? So the Vatican and the Nazis started working together, right? When America hired all the Nazis rather than kill them like we should have. So we hired them all, got them to work with the Vatican, brought in some Satanists so that we didn't have to use the excuse that we're working with Jewish people because like they do everything else. So
The
naturally, all we had
whole
left was
reason
the
behind
Vatican.
Operation Paperclip. That was all it was,
Hold
just
on,
to fake
yeah,
the moon
exactly.
landing.
Okay, exactly. Right. So we didn't go to the moon, right? What really happened is we just like it was in a studio, right? And then people want to bring up, oh, okay, but China did it. Well, no, China didn't do it because if we read history, right, Mao killed all of the Chinese people. So Chinese people don't even exist in modern times because Mao killed them all because communism
True.
bad.
Oh my
So,
gosh,
like,
Samantha.
what is really
love
happening,
it.
what we're failing to see, right, is that in New York City, sexually based crimes are especially heinous, right? The men and women of law enforcement dedicated. No, anyway,
Right.
but yeah, moon
Oh
landing
my
didn't
Could
happen.
you
gosh,
tell
Communism
us?
Samantha.
Could you tell us how shit
Chinese
tier of
people
a
don't
movie
exist.
Wally is, Samantha?
Oh, that's because like okay, so Wally being the shit tier movie is because there's no women with fat asses, right? Just people are fat asses. There's not women with fat
True.
asses. People are the whole fat asses as a whole. So that makes Pixar or who I don't care who made the movie. I'm pretty sure it was Kim Jong Un that made Wally, if I remember correctly. But yeah, no, there's no thick juicy booty. It's just fat people.
All right, thank you, Samantha. We're gonna go to closing statements for this topic. Go ahead. We're gonna start with Tiberius, then Jola, then Biggs, then Kevin, then American Nacho, then we're finishing with Colorado. You can talk about space, you can talk about billionaires existing or not existing, or you can talk about your favorite Disney or Pixar movie. Go ahead, Tiberius.
Thank you for wasting my time on this topic. Next person.
Oh, am I?
Jola, go. Yeah.
Wall-E is a story inspired by the Bible, essentialism, and modern capitalism.
Thank you, Jola.
No, but around this whole topic though, I think it is pretty telling that all of us are sort of in agreement. Like, oh, this sucks. This is happening. We have no control over it. Nobody's going to stop it. We are living in this system that is set up in this way. We have all this infrastructure built out for our space programs. If anybody doesn't have any trust in our government, usually people do have trust in our space programs throughout history, and government space programs have been very successful. So we're all sitting here memeing because we're like, oh, well. Yeah, we're screwed. Whatever. We're screwed. We can't control
Shit,
Elon
do I ever
Musk's
fill up this one?
LARP army, and that's
Yeah,
another
just
good
like that.
topic too. The cult that forms around people like Elon Musk, the way he can use his populism to manipulate like cryptocurrencies, because they have no regulations, and he can use that money and that capital to control our government and make him be the person that's going to be leading the space race or whatever. So yeah, pretty fun.
Thank you, Jola, bringing some realness to this. Biggs, go ahead.
Yeah, so I would like to think that we will actually avoid the whole Wall-E timeline. I think that that's kind of a very it's almost like an apocalyptic story. But I want to see that, like Katarana said, like we have people that are being trained for the was it in 2020 or 2030 to go to Mars. I'd like to see us be able to go to Mars. I still think we're a few decades out, possibly a century out, before we actually have like actually people living there and procreating there and stuff like that. But I think it's a cool idea to think about. I think it'd be awesome if we could actually terraform Mars. This is many centuries down the road, but I think as a species, I really think that's the kind of the next step in kind of like our colonial tendencies. Really, I mean, honestly, if you think about it. But I'd like to see that. I think we can, expand, maybe possibly take some of the threat of the global climate crisis, away by moving people to Mars eventually. Who knows if that's science fiction or science fact? We don't know yet. But Coco, definitely the greatest Pixar movie. Very underrated. I suggest if you haven't seen it, you see it because it's amazing. The music's awesome. The animation's awesome as well. And the story's great. So Coco all the way.
Thank you, Biggs. All right, Kevin.
Yes. Firstly, anyone who thinks anything other than A Bug's Life is the greatest Pixar movie ever is degenerate filth. I'm just putting that out there straight away. Secondly, in terms of the prophetic classic Wall-E, I think we need to view it less as a cautionary tale and more as a blueprint for how we should treat the working class who need to be eradicated.
Thank you, Kevin. We're gonna throw it to Nacho now.
I agree with everything Kevin just said, and Elon is our Lord and Savior. Don't you ever shit talk him, Joel, okay?
Right. Thank you, Nacho. All right, Katarana. Take as long as you need. Go ahead. Last word.
So I have a full manifesto on why Osmosis Jones is the best Pixar movie, but before I get to that,
Please keep it under 2.5 minutes.
No, I just I hate all of these
You can
people.
have my time.
Elon Musk can suck my left nut. Jeff Bezos looks like Lex Luthor, but jacked. And
Yeah, I
Richard
take it back. I
Branson
reclaim
looks
my
like
time.
my right nut. So I don't know. I hate all these people. I don't think any of them know anything about like terraforming. I judged a competition a couple months ago about how to use CO2 walls to get rid of our CO2 and allowing the algae to repopulate and turn it into oxygen, which would be a really good way for storing up CO2 to turn to oxygen for Mars and starting our terraforming process. But yeah, all
Oh,
these
shut the
hoes are
fuck
dumb
up,
as
nerd.
shit. Suck my
Jesus.
left. Okay, suck my third nut. I don't give a shit. Okay, look. All I'm saying is that
Oh,
like,
he's got him
none
in a
of these
key lock.
people know anything about
Got
how
him in a
to
key lock.
terraform properly. I've gone to the International Aeronautical Congress where they were talking about ways to like transform things that are underneath the Mars's surface to turn it into oxygen and turn it into
Can I just-
water. But Elon Musk and all of them are so fucking stupid. They don't know
No.
anything about the topic. Oh my god.
Elon Musk clearly knows a lot about.
Look, the only thing he knows about is how to be a robot. So unless he wants to go ahead and be the people that are the actual rovers on Mars and testing the soil for life, I don't
Look-
want to fucking hear it.
look,
Okay?
no,
You know, he's
Elon
not already
Musk.
there.
Elon Musk knows a lot about like terraforming and changing landscapes and stuff because he has forced lots of child slave labor to do mining. So he knows about moving of Earth and stuff. Like he knows how to do that shit. It's fine.
Yeah,
He'll
but
just
I
get-
don't think
he'll
he's
just
gonna
get
be
some
sitting.
small brown kids to do it for him. It's fine.
Oh yeah, small
What?
brown
Unless,
kids are the
look,
best.
unless he's gonna be there behind them,
Damn.
whipping it like it's 1776 all
Hell
over
yeah.
again. I don't think he's gonna be
Fucking
able to do
crazy.
it properly because the latency is too high. I reclaim my time.
All right, thank you.
Oh,
Katarana.
busting up the
Thank you
reclaim my
everyone
time, too.
for this extremely fruitful meme topic. Honestly, this lasted longer than I expected, 30 whole minutes. So now
That's what
we
she
are.
said.
We've all wasted 30 minutes of our fucking lives on this nonsense. What a waste of human
Okay,
capacity.
It was amazing. I loved
You know
every
what, Kev?
second.
If you want to have a fight after this about space, I'm here for it because I ain't got a life.
Fair enough. Well, there's plenty of space
Hey.
for you to, go to if that's, seeing you.
Oh,
Yeah, I could walk from here to there and back. It's crazy.
all right. We've made Tiberius sad, everyone. So now it's time to make Tiberius very happy.
And job time.
Sure. I'm going to refill my water really quickly, and then we'll get to our final topic, which is an actual serious one again. I will start moderating correctly again, and we're going to start talking about U.S.-China stuff. So, if you
Do
need
we
to use the
also
bathroom,
get the
if you need to
apron now? Is it the final topic? The
Oh,
apron
it's,
topping?
It's apron time.
Oh yes, my
Oh,
favorite
yeah!
time.
Like we're it's like Biggs. All right, I'll be
I'm gonna
right
go
back.
speed get answers from Dylan while he's playing D&D. It's over for you, hosts.
It's over for us hoes. True.
This is my favorite part.
American Nacho.
Yes, sir.
What's your Rocket League rank?
Champ. Right now it's only champ 1.
What's the one above Diamond 3?
Champ.
Yo, that's what I am. We should play sometime.
I'm down, dude. Let's go. I told I had a chat with Destiny a while back. I told him I would carry him. I would carry him in Rocket League if he carried me in League of Legends.
His brain can't
a
handle
nice
3D
trade-off.
games other than Call of Duty and Apex.
I told him if he ever wanted anyone heavier than Mr. Mooten to carry, I got him.
Yeah, he only handles. He can
Drag-
only handle games that make his mouse sound like this.
True.
You know what I mean? Just like yeah.
I'll drag him down to back down to bronze real quick. Yeah, I'll send you my Steam ID, the message after.
Oh yeah. So I'm on a box. So I need the
Doesn't
Epic,
matter.
the Epic gamer tag,
Yeah,
or
Epic
unless if
account,
it's the
yeah.
same. Yeah, I got you.
Hans in his apron.
Hey, I mean, I'm just saying, you know. Did Dylan give you all the secrets?
The man is playing D&D too heavy. It's
Oh,
all
no.
me.
Oh no. Good
Alright,
luck.
Mr. Boy.
Oh, dog! What's the name?
This is Buck.
Oh god, oh, Bach, what a good boy.
Hi, buddy.
I love small animals. I like pets. I like fuzzy animals. Like dogs are good. Dogs are way better than cats, but like cats are good too. But like just dogs. Like oh, I love dogs. I am partially like I'm at least like 90% golden retriever. And yeah, it
I
just
see it.
definitely like. Oh wait, where'd Kevin go? Kevin, no. Kevin. Kevin. Oh, there he is. All right, let's see if. Oh, he's back. All right, everyone, we are back. So, memes and dreams aside, it is time for
I
our
love the
last
creams.
and most serious topic of the evening. Let me see if I can find it. God damn it. All right. Pro streamer, pro mod. There we go. All right. Last topic of the evening. Given the reality of the Uyghur genocide, should the United States and other nations decouple their economies from China? And does economic globalization and interconnectivity weaken nation states' capabilities to deal with bad actors on the world stage? We are going to start with Tiberius and end with Tiberius. We're going to go Tiberius, Jola, Nacho, Katarana, Biggs, and then Kevin. And then we're going to do the reverse order for the end of the topic. So, with all this in mind, 1 minute on the clock for your opening statements.
Hope y'all are
Tiberius,
doing
take
good
it away,
this
buddy.
evening. Having
All right,
fun.
yeah. As far as decoupling from China, like I don't know how you can live with yourself wanting to be involved with a neo-fascist state. As far as dealing with the ability of having an interconnected world and being able to punish people for it, there's a yes and a no to this. Because sometimes what you can do is that you can do sanctions, you can do all these things that kind of deter things that are already going on. But that usually is a one-trick pony. That's usually a one-time shot. Once you have decoupled, or once you have put down that
Ooh, that was close.
excuse me, once you have put down that foot, is that you really can't bring it back again, unless you just normalize relations once again. It's usually some really limp dick shit. What we need to do is we need to treat the Chinese like they are the Soviet Union 2.0. Is that we need to bring up our allies in a united front.
Katarana
We
tucks
are
her
not going
mic
to trade
into
with
her
China or any
bra.
other allies, and we need to declare Cold War II electric
Talk about
boogaloo.
being
Thank you very
efficient.
much.
Thank you, Tiberius. We're going to throw it to Jola.
I think a big overarching thing in this conversation is if you think the U.S. and China's interests can be compatible into the future, can we work together in any regard? Does it make sense for us to be tied to them when it comes to the U.S.? And obviously Tiberius thinks that answer is definitely no, extremely no. I think more no than I've ever heard before. But in dealing with China, we did try something directly with the Uyghur genocide when we stopped our trade with cotton, right? And that made China's state-run economy does respond to market forces. So when the U.S. said we're not going to buy cotton from this area in China where you are doing this genocide, China doesn't benefit China or the U.S. to have ongoing trade wars. So if we cut down their cotton supply, is it easier for China to do a rebuttal and attack one of our industries, or is it easier for them to implement more human rights? And across the board, when it comes to workers' rights, not only the Uyghur genocide, I think it can be effective if the international community says, "Hey, we're not going to do trade with countries that don't uphold this baseline standard of like workers' rights." And I think that can help like American workers too. One of China's biggest attributes is they have a big labor pool that they don't pay, that they treat as slaves. If we say you have to treat your workers a little bit better, or we're not going to work with you, that's one perspective I've heard. But I'm open to having my mind changed overall.
All right, thank you, Jola. Reminding everyone else to try and keep it under a minute. In respect to fairness, Jola went to about 1:20, so everyone else remaining, you get 1:20 as well. And Tiberius, if you need a longer statement at the end to respond to everything, you're welcome to do that as well. So American Nacho, 1:20 on the clock. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know if it seems like a really messy situation. It seems like this is kind of similar to whenever I was looking into like the should we like pull out of Afghanistan. It seems like it's really hard to just be like one way or the other, yes or no.
Fucking
we
fence
obviously
sitter
don't wanna
Nacho.
completely abandon
Fence
like
sitter
China or decouple from
Nacho.
China
Am I in his
and-
chat?
and-
God damn it, I'm not in his
and
chat.
Cold War shit, because I feel like
I gotta get in his
they're
chat right now.
moving pretty fast as far as their economy. They do have, like Joel pointed out, kind of like some slave labor they can exploit, regardless of whether or not we want to go there and exploit that with them. It's like
Fence sitter Nacho.
they have some
tagged him in
advantages
chat.
to some degree. Like we were talking randomly about nuclear energy last night, and they have like 17 proposed sites or something like that, or nuclear power plants in progress. They're doing a lot of things with their energy and their economy, and I feel like it would be a mistake to cut them out entirely. But I feel like it's a really dangerous situation moving forward. I don't know. We just need to be careful, I guess.
Thank you, Nacho. Katarana.
I feel like within a moral stance, we should be decoupling our economy from China for a plethora of reasons, this including. But obviously, our attachment to China's
Pereira.
economy makes it quite hard.
Nico Price is
So
beating
I
him
can
up.
make all my moral statements.
Sorry, I'm watching the
from
fights
here
while
until the end of
I'm
time,
doing
but
this
it's
debate.
completely
And
unrealistic
it's
at this moment.
Mikael Pereira
I think,
versus Nico Price.
That being said,
in the
the
third
fact
round,
that
and
it's unrealistic is
been
already
pretty
sign
fun.
that
Pereira is a pretty
even
fun
if this
fighter,
was
but Nico
happening,
Price
even
is
if this
just
wasn't happening,
piecing him
we
up
should
with
be
some
really,
solid boxing.
detaching ourselves from this type of interdependence. So I think
Oh,
this
Pereira
is a
goes
good
for the
reason to go
dive
ahead
for
and
the
start looking
sprawl, and
into
he's
ways
taking
to go
fucking
about
body
that.
shots.
Because honestly,
He's gonna get the
it's
take.
just not
Nope, not
very
gonna get
good
the
for
takedown.
any type of country that claims to be a a superpower to not really be able to wave around its metaphysical dick due to economic pressures.
Metaphysical dicks.
All right, thank you, Katarana. Biggs.
All right, so my personal take on China, and even after looking at some of the studies that you'd posted in our chat for review, a lot of these studies fail to realize what would be the opportunity cost that we'd actually gain by going other avenues with our investments. But my biggest take on China is we need to form a coalition with the EU and India specifically to try to basically blackball the Chinese economy. Because I honestly think that's the only way we're going to actually be able to make any type of in-ground with the Chinese to get them to move on their human rights issues. I think we've seen from the I forgot what the last I forgot what they had some meeting with Biden and Blinken, and China basically said like, well, if you guys can't handle your own inner strife, why would we have to deal with our Uyghur Muslim issue, basically. And I think that we need to get with these countries, form coalitions, put economic pressure on them to force them to make decisions where they need to pay their people more. They need to stop genociding people. They need to stop camping people in these re-education camps or whatever they are. I think that this is just an egregious issue. I think this is borderline what was happening in the Nazi times, and I know people don't like to take down that route very often, but I think this is a very apt analogy, what we have going on now. And I think right now the other countries in the world are afraid to challenge China because a lot of their infrastructure and economy is based out of their goods coming from China cheaply. But I think all these countries fail to realize that we can, as individual countries, do these things ourselves. We don't need to be reliant on especially the basics. Like, you know, we shouldn't be relying on China for like our basic medical goods. We shouldn't be relying on China for like consumer electronic goods. We need to have things that we use every day be created here and in the countries where we can actually have sustainable economies and not rely on these people that not the Chinese people with the Chinese Communist Party that are taking advantage of people. I think that's a mistake.
All right, thank you, Biggs. All right, Kevin. Ending at the opening statements. If anyone else wants to start jumping in after he's done, start raising your hands now. Kevin, take it away, buddy.
Yes. Firstly, fuck the Chinese government. They are doing a genocide and they are brutally enslaving people. They're a disgusting set of so-and-sos, and I hope that Xi Jinping gets pegged by the devil and not in a good way. Anyway.
It's like South Park, Chinese episode.
That, I don't think it's the place of the United States or any other country, or not any other country, but lots of other Western countries don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to their support of human rights abusing atrocious governments, considering they're arming Saudi Arabia and various other despotic regimes all around the world. The selective outrage towards Chinese human rights abuses is telling more of anxiety on behalf of the American ruling class that the Chinese state is going to be the number one hegemonic power within the next 50 to 100 years, rather than the fact that they actually care about the Uyghurs at all. I mean, Donald Trump literally wanted to ban Muslims from coming into the country, and then we're led to believe that he cares about Uyghur Muslims being genocided. No, he doesn't care. He doesn't give two shits. And neither does the American ruling class, frankly, given its propensity for human rights atrocities itself. I think the larger problem is not necessarily decoupling from any individual country, but more that capitalism itself is exploitative and is destroying the planet and needs to stop.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. We're going to throw it to Biggs and then Katarana. So, Biggs, go ahead, buddy.
So I think that, Kevin, like I like what you had to say there, but I do think you're kind of making a false dichotomy between what's going on in China versus what's happened in other countries. Like, I do agree with you that countries like the United States are giving people, you know, weapons in the Middle East, especially like you mentioned. But I think there's a vast difference between the Uyghur genocide, just like the sheer volume of people, but also the ideological premise behind it, and the ideological premise behind the Communist Party of China. I think that there's a vast difference, in equating those things is not very apt. Personally, that's just my personal take.
Kevin, would you like to respond? You guys are welcome to have like a small back and forth.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I'm not saying they're absolutely equivalent. I'm just saying the idea that America should be taken seriously when it comes to ethical investments in countries and stuff is a little bit ridiculous, frankly. Like, I mean, name a despotic power, and America have almost certainly sold them weapons.
But don't you think there's like a point in time when you can actually turn to do good and make strides towards benefiting, especially large amounts of a segment of a population like the Uyghur Muslims? Like, don't you think there's a time like we can make decisions to do well instead of, like, obviously we make mistakes along the way?
Okay,
but...
yeah, no, that's true. But I mean, America has shown no interest in decoupling from Saudi Arabia or Israel or various other horrific regimes around the world who are also doing genocides and enslaving people.
I agree with you, and I think we should also decouple from those as well. I think you were correct in that too.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you both. That was very nice, respectful back and forth. If you want to do something like that, if someone says something you disagree with, I think this is gonna be like the spiciest topic of the night in terms of people disagreeing. Feel free to like just say a quick response, and like I'll let you like do that back and forth as necessary. So we're gonna go to Katarana and then Tiberius. So Katarana, go ahead.
I didn't want to dig too deep into that personally, but
agree as
well with Kevin about it is kind of strange for the
I
U.S.
just can't believe they're
to
standing
kind of
for
throw away any type of throw around any type of moral authority,
I feel
especially with
dirty.
our track
I
record.
feel dirty that they're like
But I
standing
just
China.
once again want to agree with Bigsbury. Say yes. I think we should be divesting and reverting from supporting any of these different types of regimes that we are supporting that are committing any type of human rights issues. Though we do have our own human rights issues here at home, I think there is a utopic
Her
way that we
mic
should
is
think
not
of this,
great.
where
Is
we
that
should
just me? I
kind
don't
of
know.
be doing our best here and also helping others do their best in other places. But I don't know. It just I kind of see this more of a not even entirely scared type of situation. I think with enough um, coalition, there is a way to pressure China into stopping what they're doing. I think there's just a lack of interest. It will be hard to single-handedly, as states say, "Hey, we're just not going to help China anymore" without this type of coalition. I there has been you know instances in the past where we can actually get together and say we are going to collectively embargo something, sanction something, go to war with someone, and we just haven't, because this isn't really where we're. This is a bit of a country saying that okay, we now classify what's happening in China. It's a bit of a virtue signal because they're not going to do much else beyond that's a genocide. Have a nice day. Anyways, do you want to trade?
I can't. You're cutting out a little bit in the voice side. Um,
Okay, I finished, but was it cutting off the whole time?
no, it finished
It's just
at
a little choppy.
yeah, at the end you just said like you did a genocide, won a trade, and then like didn't hear anything after that. So I think that was a
Okay,
nice.
I was done.
Okay, cool. All right, we're gonna throw it to Tiberius now, then Biggs, and then into Kevin. So Tiberius, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, as far as what Kevin said, he's not wrong. And like, this is legitimate criticism. The only thing I'm going to say about this is that the best way not to be a big hypocrite is to actually do what you preach and actually involve yourself when you say that I'm drawing a line in the sand, to actually follow through with it. I would love for the United States to actually stand up behind those values. And you know what? If this is the place that we start, better here than nowhere. You know what? Yeah, do we want to talk about Saudi Arabia? Sure. Do we want to talk about supporting Israel? We can do that too. But you know what? This is one of those things. This is a neo-fascist state that is a rival superpower. We have every ethical and ethical and national reason to get on board with this program, to actually kick some ass and show America can actually do some good in the fucking world. Let's do it.
All right, Kevin, would you like to respond?
Yeah, well, I was just going to, I might as well just say the point I was going to say in a second. It's about geopolitics. This is not about ethics from the United States ruling class in the slightest. Because if they did, I mean, like I say, Israel are a sovereign nation who are engaging in a genocide against a Muslim minority in their own borders. And yet not a single US politician will stand up and say, maybe we shouldn't be giving this nuclear armed socialized medicine state tax dollars in the billions. And yet China somehow is treated very differently because it's a geopolitical threat.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. You said that was your point, so I crossed out the list.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so we're gonna go to Biggs and then back to Tiberius. So Biggs, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think the bigger issue that we had to focus on right here is we need to focus on being more self-sufficient. I think we've learned from the pandemic especially that we have so many things, so many industries that are reliant on places like China and the Middle East for oil, and the even like Taiwan, Japan for like our consumer electronics and things like that. I think we need to bring back some things to our country, and I don't know, like I'm hesitant to say the America First motto, but like in this type of thing, like I think that this kind of applies, where if we can bring back these industries and at least have some type of foundation that we can be able to pick up, where when we do have problems with these countries, especially bad acting countries, which is what this kind of topic was about. When we have these bad acting countries, we need to be able to have our own infrastructure and our own plan to be able to combat that and not be so reliant on those other countries. And I think that with China, especially, they're doing these egregious acts. And I agree with Kevin and Katarana and Jola, but I think that China is a special threat, and I think that because they are a higher level of threat, I do think that that does require more of a microscope on them and more of a pushback against them.
Biggs brought up an excellent point in like essentially like the second half of the question, which is like international globalization and interconnectivity. You're welcome to start talking about that as well. It doesn't have to strictly stick to a U.S.-China conversation, although you can welcome to bring it back to that at any given point. Right now, the list is Tiberius into Jola into Katarana. Tiberius, take it away, buddy.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to write that final point down, so hopefully I remember it. Anyway, with what Kevin said with it being geopolitical and not moral, yeah, it usually is always that case. Power rules all. That's generally the whole thing. We can say it's the moral thing, and we'll use that to sleep at night. But usually, if we have to sponsor a dictatorship over here or bomb some people over here, we do it. Like, he's not wrong. As far as Israel, though, I do want to tag on this one, and I'm actually going to throw a little bit of love to the left on this one. The Democrats actually have been questioning Israel and what they've been doing. Whether that is good or bad is that I think they've been very critical of it the last 10 years, or at least increasingly of it. I just wish somebody would have the Gigabrain take that no one in the region is the good guys, but hey, whatever. As far as what was the second part? Internet connectivity. I'm a bit of a nationalist myself, so for me personally, I think is that what if the United States is going to help you out, which we are a good nation, I think we can help you out, or a lot of nations out, is that we need to get something out of it. I mean, a lot of the world structures that are built out to this day are remnants of the Cold War that we built out to oppose the Soviets. We don't gain anything from that now. Now, if we want to repurpose that to oppose the Chinese, that would be fantastic. But right now, a lot of people are just kind of biting their heels on this one, and it needs to move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ty. We're going to throw it to Jola and then Katarana. So, Jola, go ahead, buddy.
I agree with the points about supply chains when it comes to moving some more industries back to America or more capabilities back to America. That's one of the big things. After the pandemic, globally, we are seeing a lot of countries globally pull out some resources out of China because they realized, oh boy, these supply chains take a long time to get started back up again if there's a huge disruption to the system. But my big thing is if we do something to like pressure China in a certain direction, I do want it to be in cooperation with different countries. I don't want the U.S. to take like we are going to be the ultimate leaders here alone. We are going to be these like Batman figures coming in, superheroes that are gonna 1v1 China. I do want it to be like cooperation.
That's why we
I
need
think
a
there
coalition.
yeah, I think there is grounds for that because it would make more money financially for China to if we can make it more make it better for them to like cut down on human rights violations if we say we're not going to give you this industry or we're not going to be related to you with this industry. I think that's something we could try out.
Thank you, Jola. We'll throw it to Katarana.
Yeah, I think the whole idea of bringing like things back home is very good in terms of supply chain, but honestly, in terms of capitalism and the way it functions, obviously everyone just wants to make as much money for their stakeholders as possible, and though it would make you know. Or actually doing something
Robot.
to bad actors a lot easier. I just don't see it as being something that is really ever going to happen again, because once you start outsourcing, once you're able to see that, hey, if we just allow most of our things to be made in another place, we can make 65% more because we're not having to pay the wages that we would have to pay here. I don't think even after the pandemic, much is going to change in that sense because unfortunately, it's just more important to save money. I think it would be really good for us in terms of yeah, doing more and being able to be a bit more put our
Do
foot
you
down
think we should institute more
at the human
policies
rights.
for that, like tariff policies and things like that?
Sorry, could you repeat the whole thing?
Do you think we should, to your point, do you think we should institute like more type of policy against like bad actors like China in forms of like tariffs and other type of like trade equaling things, so that way we don't have the capitalistic sway towards cheap labor and such?
I mean, from what I've heard in the past when we were doing that, it didn't really seem to hurt many. It kind of just hurts us in the long run when we were doing the trade war. a couple of years ago. I'm not sure there was very much of a net benefit for us when we were imposing additional tariffs. But I'm also not an econ person. I just know how to do math a bit good, so I could be talking straight out of my ass.
Yeah, that's okay.
Unfortunately, I'm not. I mean, I'm sorry. I hope I'm not.
No,
but I
yeah, and I think like one of the things I read in the review documents that Hans was so generous to provide us was that if we do decouple, we're going to lose like I think it was 25 trillion in like tariff revenue and things like that. So I do think that that's a good way to kind of combat that, like what you said with like the capitalistic urge to like save money. I think that's one of the things we can use to combat that. And again, I don't know if it's necessarily always true, but if you have to kind of take the cost benefit and what you're actually looking to achieve when you institute those policies. And I think that with your point, that might be something we could do to help alleviate that that need for these capitalistic corporations to just like want the cheap labor only. You know what I mean?
I mean, and at the end of the day, the net benefits, if we were to bring manufacturing back, would be great for states. There would be a lot more jobs, but I just don't
I agree.
know if we're ever going to be able to have made in America on everything ever again.
Thank you both for that very nice back and forth. We're going to throw it to Kevin and then to Jola. So Kevin, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I think a couple of points that haven't necessarily been raised is that the problem here isn't so much the morality of the individual nations or anything like that. It's that the core of the problem is capitalism and imperialism. What you have in China and America are two capitalist and imperialist nations who are competing against one another. Neither of them particularly care about the morality of it. It's literally just power and money. And whilst that remains the core of the foreign policy and indeed internal policy of both of those nations,
going to always be forever.
Can really change.
There's nothing going to change with that
in terms of the macro.
I don't think it ever changes
situation. So yeah, if we did away with those things, we could have a better world.
Only on paper.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm going to throw it to Joel and then Nacho. I saw your hand raised, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Cool. I haven't been ignoring you tonight, right? Like, I thought
no.
Okay, I didn't because I saw it on like on my Twitch and not on this thing. So I was like, did I just miss Nacho like raising his hand? I feel like I was like, haven't been seeing you this entire night. I was like, no, I've been ignoring the best version of Destiny this entire time. All right, Jola.
Destiny Light.
Jola, go ahead, and then into Nacho.
I think we can sort of look at how China responded to this push for a global minimum tax rate. It's 15%, right? The global minimum rate. I think 131 countries agreed on it. The way they responded to this tax rate, they signed on to the deal. India and China did. The reason they were able to do that, although they don't want to pay or they don't want that number, is because of their huge market and their huge supply chains. And their diplomatic efforts to stay tied to the rest of the world are causing them to do policies like this. They know if they don't do the 15% worldwide, there is less of a chance that countries are going to want to work with China. They don't want to provoke the rest of the world too much. China is dependent on the rest of the world, just like the rest of the world is dependent on China, and they are wary of that. And they are making decisions based off of that because they are getting challenged, especially after the pandemic, because we see the faults of having their supply chain
fucking knocking down.
Everything else. So if we really want to attack China, this is one reason that tariffs aren't going to work. If only America wants to do tariffs on one industry, they can absorb that pretty easily, and they're going to give the cost to our consumers. We're going to have a deficit in most of those interactions. But if you have the entire international community pushing a certain direction, or if we say we're not going to do this because of human rights violations, and we have every country doing that, it's a lot harder.
That's why we need a coalition, like I said in the beginning.
To overcome us if we try to attack.
That's why I said that.
Throw it to Nacho, and then right as of now, there is no other people behind him on the list. So if you want to get in, we have 15 minutes left for general discussion before we move to ending statements for this topic. So if you want to jump in, start jumping. I see you, Kevin. You're on the list after Nacho. Nacho, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm with you, like Tiberius, as far as like and Biggs I think said it as well. Like I want America to be more like dependent on itself and on countries in the EU or in United Nations instead of focusing so hard on using China and like slave labor, etc. for our goods. But it just seems like the relationship that we already have with them is so like intertwined that it would be pretty complicated to go full out like Teddy said and do like a Cold War, essentially Cold War 2.0. But as someone who's more involved in geopolitics, I just kind of wanted to pick your brain on like how you think that would play out, like policy wise. I guess I don't really know.
You feel free to respond to that.
Okay, yeah, had to unmute myself. Yeah, so explanation time real quick. The original impetus for having like global trade was that it was something called comparative advantage, and basically that idea is specializational labor on a macro scale. So you know, Japan would do like a few things here that they specialized in very well. China would do these things that they specialized very well, and everybody would specialize in what they did, and particularly to the point where we would trade it back and forth. And then what would happen is that it would be like more efficient and more useful for everybody. The bottom line is that yeah, you had cheaper and cheaper goods come out in a bigger and bigger fashion. But the other side of this is that no one actually looked at the other the back end, which was what happened to wages. Because what is the biggest inefficiency in most businesses? It's wages. And we have seen the hollowing out of almost across the Western world
I love
of
wages.
of the middle class, as we call it. Now, some of this is for automation. We can table that part of that conversation, but definitely a lot of this was outsourcing as well. So yeah, we absolutely shot ourselves in the foot because yeah, sure, we have cheaper goods now because we have our Walmart Chinese Tinker Toys. But on the other side of that is the people who were building the things beforehand don't have jobs anymore, or if they do, they're now janitors and not factory workers. Significant change in their economic well-being. Going forward to where we're at is that you guys remember back when COVID started and we lost like 33% of the economy went offline? It was one of the biggest contractions.
Yeah, it was fucking bullshit.
Since the Great Depression.
Fucking bullshit.
The quarter after that, 30% of it came back online, even though we had 8% unemployment at the time. You know why? It's because we had $5 trillion of investments fire off in the United States. People have been sitting on their money, and all of a sudden they started building out the new silicon factories that are building microchips, all the way up into building your mass now here at home. Made in the USA, or at least made in North America, is rapidly becoming reality, and that transition will complete within the next 2 years. Most of the things that have been done within the last year are the stuff that you can do within that time. The last things that we have are like the clean rooms from silicon, or I'm sorry, the clean rooms that we use to build microchips and stuff. Those usually take 2.5 to 3 years to build. What was that?
That was my daughter. Sorry.
Hello. Anyway, yeah. So as far as that is that, yeah, can we absolutely decouple? Yeah, like to a large degree, this is exactly what we did with the Soviet Union. It was the second biggest economic power in the world whenever we went up against them. We've done this before. We can do it. What are you
doing? Go to
Thank
bed.
you, Tiberius. Right now, the list is Kevin and then you again, Ty. Did you say everything you want to say on there, or would you like to stay on the list? Okay, cool. All right, Kevin, go ahead. And everyone, like I said, got about 10 minutes left.
I was going to make a point that, I mean, like I've mentioned that I think that getting rid of capitalism would be the best solution. But if you're going to keep capitalism and do this, then tariffs aren't a way that you're going to do that. You either go with a genuine free market system, or you go with full protectionism and socialism to some extent. A mixture of the two is probably counterproductive in the long run. No one really benefits from that.
Nice cube.
Thank you, Kevin. Like I said, there's currently no one on the list. Would someone like to respond to Kevin or to put forth their own point?
You can't respond to that. It's the perfect point.
I mean, like, if no one responds to Kevin, I guess Kevin wins.
Like, regulated capitalism based, okay?
Sure.
It's like, all right, go Jola.
I wanted to just ask Tiberius what his opinion is on U.S. or on not U.S. On Russia and China, because Russia's involvement with like foreign trade in China, I'm pretty sure it went up from like 10% 10 years ago to like over 20% now. And it seems as both of them, well, Russia obviously hates Western countries a lot more. China's much more involved with us. What do you see happening with that situation? And what do you think would happen if we did take this approach that you want to take towards China, like you are a Cold War country? Would that essentially be like, all right, the entire world versus China and Russia at that point? Or what would you think?
That's a fantastic question. Actually, had tagged that in one of the episodes on my show. I was kind of shocked, but what we've definitely seen with the Russians and the Chinese is that they largely have what each other needs. Russia has had a population collapse post Cold War that has hauled out their skilled labor pool and has large out a lot of the production facilities. But on the other side of that is they still have a lot of technological advancements that are holdovers from the Soviet era, such as aircraft companies like Mikoyan, Sukhoi, that kind of thing, which the Chinese desperately need. The Chinese biggest thing in their industrialization efforts is that they really don't actually generate a lot of technological advancement in-house still. It's a state capitalist system. It's really, really weird. But what they've largely done, and I never thought they would actually do this because the Russians have an immense amount of national pride, is that they've actually started bolting themselves together at the hip. And one of the big things that has happened this year, or two things that have happened this year, is that one, the Russians have openly said that they were going to participate in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which was supposed to be kind of like an Asian counter NATO. They've actually said that they were going to start operating with the Chinese in a way larger facet. And this summer, the drills definitely did. The other side of that is that NATO openly said back in March that the Russians were no longer their primary concern. It was actually China. So either which way, it kind of looks to me that we're already in Cold War II. It's just the Russians and the Chinese have already kind of signed on to say that they're on the same team, which I am surprised that happened, but it just goes to show that we should have played ball ahead of time instead of look behind the time.
Right. Thank you, Tiberius. All right. Doesn't look like there's any real response to that. I want to thank all of you so much. We're going to move to closing statements for this topic. I really appreciate this. I think this is one of the probably one of the better conversations on foreign policy. I appreciate everyone participating so heavily. Last time I did a foreign policy topic, people didn't do any reading, people didn't do any research, and they came and all this said very generic stuff, and it was very, very boring. So I really appreciate all of you coming to play and having an excellent talk about this topic. So thank you all so much for that. We're going to start with Kevin, into Biggs, into Katarana, into Nacho, into Jola, and then into Tiberius. So you have a minute and a half on the clock. Your closing statements for this topic, and then feel free to shout anything you want shouted out.
Yes, I think I've basically said all I wanted to say on this. China bad, America bad, Saudi Arabia bad, Israel
Hello,
bad.
I make comics. Thank you.
Capitalism bad, imperialism
Welcome.
bad. Kevin
We're just
Logan,
finishing
awesome.
up this political debate. Thank you for stopping in.
Thank you, Kevin. And
About to do my
everyone can
take.
find Kevin on his channel. I'll link it in chat right now. All right, Biggs, go ahead, buddy.
Well, first and foremost, I just want to thank Hans for having me on tonight, and I want to thank all the panelists. I really do appreciate all of you. I think that panels like this are awesome. I think having people be able to actually get their voices heard and not being talked over every 5 seconds is an amazing proposition that we need more of in the Twitch landscape personally. So Hans, I want to thank you for that. As far as this topic goes, like I said before, I think that the biggest issue we have right now is we need to bring things back into countries to be able to kind of produce themselves. Like I said in the beginning of this topic, I think the best way to do that, especially with regards to China, is if we can form some kind of coalition with the EU and India especially. When you look at the top GDP countries in the world, we have United States at number 1, China at number 2, Japan, Germany, United Kingdom, France, India, Italy, Brazil, and Canada. I think if we can get the EU on board and India on board, I think we can put a lot of economic pressure on China to help maybe motivate them to reduce their crimes against human rights. I also think that it's just good overall for all countries to be able to at least perform their bare minimum duties, whether it be like medical supplies and infrastructure type supplies, and bring in more, actually be able to produce those at home, whether you produce all of it at home. That's not necessarily what I'm advocating for, but at least having some type of a foundation for that. So if there was a thing like we had this year with the pandemic, be able to actually be able to produce those things at home, I think that's a huge benefit to every country that's able to do that. And I think that we should strive more towards that. I think that just having a good overall global economy is good as well, especially when you want to try to put pressure on things like genocides and violations of human rights. So I think that's what we need to focus on. I think that that's the best way to go about it.
Thank you so much, Biggs. Make sure to link all your stuff. Biggs is one of the best conservatives on Twitch, and he deserves to be.
Yeah, you can find me at Biggs8500 on Twitch, on Twitter, and YouTube. So that's Biggs8500, Biggz.
Thank you so much, Biggs. All right, Katarana.
Hello. Yeah, so I think it makes sense to bring back a certain baseline worth of infrastructure to at least make sure there is something as a backup in case the supply chain ever breaks down the way that it had over the last year. Though I do think the full back is basically inconceivable at this point. Um, though I do want to look more into what some people have been saying about the cost benefit analysis, being that if like perhaps it is better in the long term for businesses to bring it back here. That if that is true for
Yeah, there's
businesses,
gonna
I
be
believe
obviously a
that could
cost
be something that I look
to bringing it back
into.
here.
Yeah, more young people can try to convince companies to come back. Um, um, that we should be moving more on this whole situation in China. So that one of his biggest regrets at the end of his presidency was not acting more on the situation in Rwanda. And there's this whole like cool thing called history and repeating itself, et cetera, et cetera. And it seems like people just like to see how many times can we have a remix of the same shit. And I would prefer that we don't have Rwanda the
Gosh,
remix.
the
Why don't
kids are
we
so
just get it
loud up
going
there,
now?
banging on
Um,
the fucking floor and
and
shit.
yeah, once again, coalition's been good. And I think it's
Yeah, I
probably
think I
good
won this. I think I
if
did pretty
we
well in this
think a little
debate.
bit more like
All the
speciesist rather
topics. I
than
don't think I did well in the
nationalist, where we
meme
say
topic
the less
because I'm
people
not a
in
good
our
memer.
species that are
At least
being
not nearly as
terminated
hard as
by
the other
other
people were willing to
parts of
meme.
our species
But I
the
think I
better.
still hung in
Wow,
there for
sounds
that. But I
cool.
think in the other two topics, I think I did pretty
So
well.
cool. Those are my positions, and hopefully, we get them coalitions together to stop more ethnic minorities getting yeeted. Other than that, hello, I am Katarina. I am currently, I'm the political panels that are out that's being run by lefties, including this one. Gotcha, Hans. And soon enough, I will be over at Hans doing cooking streams. But currently, I am on a mission to clean up every single cis male streamer's apartment and make it actually look pretty. So if you would like me to criticize the shit out of your apartment, please let me know because I am tired of homes without decoration.
I have decorations. Look at my
Yeah.
painting. Do you see my painting right over there?
Well, I'm telling you, if there aren't decorations, I'll make sure the internet knows about it because
Pretty
I get
flag.
tired of
So
undecorated.
Is that the Goku
I will
Starry
fly
Night,
out
Hans?
anywhere.
Yes, it is.
I thought I saw that.
So good. Yeah.
fucking nerds.
So I linked my I linked my shit in Hans's chat, and I will probably run around all of your other chats and link my shit because I'm trying to blow up and then act like I don't know nobody. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Katarana is awesome. Everybody, you guys should all follow and sub to her as well.
Yeah.
True.
Get ready for when she bullies me on stream. It's gonna be really sad. But I'm also excited for the food. All right, American Nacho, go ahead, buddy.
But yeah, I'll bully you in French.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah. So on the China thing, I think that I don't know whether the economic globalization or like interconnectivity like is going to weaken our ability to deal with China, but I just feel like that the way we deal with China moving forward is going to have to be pretty surgical. I feel like there's some mix. Obviously, the milk toast nacho is going to land somewhere in between like what Katarana is offering up and what Tiberius is offering up. I think it is really important that we start to bring a lot of those manufacturing jobs like back to America, so that we don't have issues where when we saw when COVID hit us, what we had such a bad like reaction to it because a lot of our factories are in China and China closes down first, and then we see the big hits coming. So it would be better if we were able to sustain our entire economy or as much of it as we can here and not be so outsourced, which is going to involve a lot of at home and as well as like global policy. So yeah, that being said, find me on Twitch /American Nacho. I'm also on I also do or have a YouTube page. I post my videos or talks or whatever I do with people, and then I'm on Twitter as well, although I'm not very active on Twitter. But yeah, I like to stream video games. I like to talk to people about politics, and yeah, anytime you want to chat, just let me know.
Thanks so
Tune
much,
into
buddy.
his guitar. His Guitar Hero streams are the best.
You play
They
Guitar
are
Hero?
fucking
That sounds
lit.
awesome.
I do. Or Rock Band, but yeah, same
Rock
thing.
Band, yeah, whatever. They're
Yeah.
lit.
Yeah, either way, yeah.
Fucking lit.
And thanks
So
again
good.
for having me on, Hans.
Thank you for being here, and really appreciate it. All right, thank you. Set clocks early for the sub. I'm just reminding everyone who might be watching me for the first time. I have a great IRL job. Please do not give me money. You have to sub to somebody. Sub to one of these amazing panelists who are trying to, quote unquote, make it. Because they deserve your money, and I feel as a good lefty living my values. I feel horrible asking for money. Yes, everyone sub to Kevin.
Yes, sub to Kevin.
I am shameless. You can buy me.
He's a socialist. He doesn't want to work for his profits, so just sub to him. Everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fuck it. Look, I own a co-op of one.
Yeah, there you go.
The only reason why you would ever sub to Hans is if you want Hans's amazing emotes. Anyway, and I'll call you my little pog champ.
I'm still waiting for the Hans OnlyFans.
Oh, only Hans, but I'll do it at some point. I promise. Okay, I'm not confident enough in my body yet. I need to get bigger. I'm still too weak. I haven't deadlifted 500 pounds yet. We're gonna get there. Jola, sorry for making you wait while I flex for everybody. Go ahead, buddy.
So a couple things I'm worried about, I guess. China wants to be on top of the world. They want to overtake the U.S. and they want to make sure they can maintain their,
Katarana, thank you for coming in. I
so
appreciate
that's why,
it.
Like Tiberius said, it's spooky
Drop that link.
Them and Russia are getting so close because they both
That's
do
awesome.
need each other for many things. Of course,
nobody's watching me, but I appreciate you coming to my stream.
They are both
thank you.
experts, I guess, or they are the ones that are doing a lot of cyber attacks right now. Cyber warfare is something that freaks me out, especially considering we had a couple of minor attacks on what was it, a meat producer and a gas company, and literally basically an entire country's worth of people, other than the U.S. because the U.S. is such a big country, but they couldn't have access to gasoline. If we had enough targeted cyber attacks at once, and we had a huge shortage, and we had a bunch of supply chains go down in the U.S. at the same time, I think people underestimate how fast social degradation can happen when a lot of things are very complicated and scary. And cyber warfare is something I think we need to invest heavily in. And China scares me there. Relations in the Middle East are always very complicated, probably the most complicated topic we could probably have in discourse about politics. China and Russia's proxy war.
China
we've been fighting
and
with
Russia
them
have a much more bigger issue. Saudi
yeah,
Arabia,
it sucks that we're
Middle
still
East
in a race to the top. We're all competing as countries to be on the top of the world, but that's why I think we need to be
I felt like this was a good panel. This was pretty awesome. I love Hans's panels. I feel like Hans's panels are the best panels.
Relatively clean and free social order. We can't let illiberal, authoritarian, anti-democracies form and take over and all that bad stuff. You can find me on YouTube at Jola. I talk about good things. I hold every correct position, and I don't believe in anything wrong. I've never been wrong in my life, and I play Rocket League. And American Nacho and I are going to play some Rocket League, and we're going to make it all the way to the top rank. I forgot what it's called. But anyway, thank you again, Hans. I think this is the fourth panel I've been on of yours, but yeah, thanks.
Are there any non-fucking nerds in this room? What is going on here?
I'm a gamer. I'm a good gamer.
Bro, like, what do you, like, I lift weights, and I play Pokemon, and I play Dungeons & Dragons, and I play Magic the Gathering.
I went on a 12-mile run yesterday.
Yeah, like, okay, like, I literally am only this big, so I can...
I take Kerbal Space Programs, so...
Yeah, see? Like, I'm, like, the reason I look like this is so I can cosplay adequately as, like, All Might and, like, other, like, super jacked anime characters, okay? That's the only reason I do... Oh, no, he's getting the mask! Don't... All right, we have to throw
Consider this a threat, Trump. I can't say that. That's it. I can't say that.
Jesus Christ! All right,
Tiberius,
go ahead, buddy. I'm linking Jola's stuff in chat.
Game. Political.
All right. So anyway, as far as my takes on this, I think I made them pretty well. But I think we have every reason to do it, whether it be ethical, national, power-wise, whatever. Is that we really China needs to be put in a box. But if you don't agree, well, then you're probably just not worth listening to. But if you are interested in people worth listening
probably not worth listening
definitely,
to.
come check me out. And if you want my opinions on geopolitics or economics or a few things associated with that, definitely either come out and check out what I do, or hell, have me on your panel, or at least, send me an invite. I'll definitely give it a consideration. If you want to see me talk to some wonderful people, such as Counterpoints, Samantha Banana, Aristocracy, or Osiris, you can check us out on the Mascot Podcast. I really appreciate you guys having me, and it's been fun.
Thanks so much, dude. Really appreciate you bringing your experience on geopolitics stuff to the last topic. It was a very good conversation. And everyone, if you like this, make sure you follow all these fantastical people. And if you like these panels, or if you just like Pokemon or beautiful men playing Pokemon, you should definitely leave that follow. So there is a MMA fight that I'm going to watch with some friends. So we are going to raid because I'm just super masculine. You know, like I like lifting the weights. I like other people fighting and beating each other to death. So I got to go watch it and imbibe the alcohol while I do it with my homies. So we are going to raid into I'm really important. So everyone get ready for the raid. Stay in there so it makes me look good for him. All right. You're all really based in poggers. I really appreciate all of you being here. And I hope every single one of us blows up, except for Katarana, because she doesn't want to pretend like she's my friend, and that really hurts my feelings.
Wow.
So I have to remain bigger than her, otherwise
Make
she
sure you
won't.
don't starve of white people cooking.
My cooking is just fine. I don't know why would you like what.
Okay, I'm just saying, I'm gonna come over. I'll make Jamaican food. You'll learn how to like eat like a non-savage. It's gonna be great.
Make good food. What do you? I made like peanut curry last night. I do real food.
Okay, look, did you make it from scratch or did you buy a store-bought sauce? That's what I
Who
thought.
the fuck makes shit from scratch? I have like a giant spice cabinet. Like I okay. I
you're
know how to
literally a
make
garbage
peanut
can.
curry. I know how to make peanut curry from
Yeah,
scratch. I
fine.
just did it this time. I had a panel to get
Whatever.
to. Why are you bullying me
Fine,
about this? Like
because that's my only life purpose. What do you think I do on Twitter all day? I just look for things to shit on you for.
I know
because
she
I'm
snipes
insecure
all
about
of my
myself.
tweets. Every time I try and look hot, she's just like, "Oh no, Hans, looking pretty unhot right now," and just absolutely fucking ruins my mojo.
This is a hate crime. This is a hate crime.
Healthy.
I
It
know.
sounds healthy.
Yeah,
Look,
like,
well, if one of you want to volunteer for me negging you, I'll go ahead and do it. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue to bully Hans.
all right. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate this. And Raiders, give my best to I'm really important. Ba ba ba. All right.
All right.
Good.
I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you guys so much for having a great time tonight. It was a great debate. You guys take it easy. Stay out of trouble. Peace out.